Yes, good afternoon. Good afternoon, one and all. A very warm welcome to all of you. I invite our esteemed dignitaries on the dais. Please welcome our President, Advocate Prasad Deshpande, sir. Our Vice President, Advocate Anup Chauhan, sir. Our Chairman, Navneet Lal Bora, sir. Moderator, Abhay Bora, sir. Please come on dais. And our Treasurer, Kailash Kashit, sir. Sir, please come on dais. I also extend a warm welcome to our dignitaries and the guests, today's guest and the panelists on our Zoom platform, CA Rajendra Arora sir and CA Anchal Kapoor ma'am, Advocate Kishore Lulla sir. I welcome all of you in the today's GST ka Dussehra event. First of all, I request our President, Advocate Prasad Deshpande sir, to share his opening remarks. Sir, please.
Namaskar. Respected dignitaries on the dais, galaxy of past president, senior members of association, all the participants present in the hall and on Zoom platform, my brothers and sisters, good afternoon. I, on behalf of Maharashtra Tax Practitioner Association, welcome you all in the 7th Study Circle meeting on the very important panel discussion on Supreme Court decision in Safari Retreats Pvt. I am thankful to today's panelist, our member, CA Rajendra Arora sir from Delhi, CA Anchal Kapoor ma'am from Amritsar, Advocate Kishore Lulla from Sangli, Mr. Suhas Padde from Pune, our past president, Mr. Prakash Patoran sir, moderator and GST expert, Advocate Abhay Bora sir, for accepting our invitation. I'm delighted to see all of you here today as we embark on this journey of learning and growth together. We at our association regularly organize various educational programs for updation of our members. We are arranging regularly seminar, webinar, study circle meeting, and a workshop on the subject of income tax, GST, as well as allied laws. We request all the members attend all such events regularly and also give your suggestions for selecting topics. I encourage each of you to actively participate, ask questions, and share your experiences. Let's make this study circle a platform for collaborative learning and professional development. Thank you once again for joining us today. Let's make this session insightful and productive. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, President sir. Now, I introduce today's panelist. First of all, CA Rajendra Arora sir. Rajendra Arora sir is the chartered accountant and the GST expert based in Delhi, who leads a young team of GST professionals focusing on quality work and knowledge enhancement. For over a decade, he has served corporate and MNC, providing consultancy and conducting the audit and appearing before the GST authority. He actively gave his presentation in seminars and webinars nationwide and share his expertise through his articles, YouTube channels. Recently, he became a member of the many organizations aiming to promote the GST literacy among the India, and he is the member of our association, that is Maharashtra Tax Practitioner Association also. I request all the dignitaries, please give the big round to the Rajendra Arora sir. Now the next faculty panelist, C. Anchal Kapoor ma'am. C. Anchal Kapoor ma'am, she is a chartered accountant since 2009, specialized in direct and indirect taxes with a focus on GST. A consistent rank holder and a gold medalist. She has studied the GST extensively and completed many certified courses over 10 years Over the past 10 years, she delivered the various GST seminars across India. She is highly regarded for her practical approach and in-depth knowledge. Please give a big round for her also. Yes, we welcome you, ma'am. Then the next panelist, Advocate Kishore Lulla sir. Advocate Kishore Lulla sir is a legal expert based in Sangli, Maharashtra. He is specialized in GST, has conducted numerous seminars and webinars on the subject of GST. Advocate Lulla sir is the past president of Goods and Services Expectation Association of Maharashtra. He is also known for his professional article and YouTube channel videos to promote the GST literacy nationwide. I request all of you, please give a big round of applause to the Kishore Lulla sir also. The today's moderator, Advocate Abhay Bora sir. Abhay Bora sir is the partner in the very well-known firm in India, the SPCM and Associates. He is specialized in indirect taxes, particularly in GST. He gave the lectures on various forums, various platforms on GST and on construction sector also. Please give the big round to the applause to the Advocate Abhay Bora sir. And the next panelist, the Prakash Patwardhan sir. Prakash Patwardhan sir is the past president of our association, the Maharashtra Tax Practitioner Association. He is the expert in indirect taxes and in real estate sector. He has delivered a lecture on various forums and also before the GST departmental authorities. He has written the books. Subject of that book is GST for Builder and the Advanced Ruling under GST. With this brief introduction, I request all the members present here to please give the big round for all the panelists who are contributing this session. Now we will move for proceed further for felicitation of our panelists. First of all, I request our president, Advocate Prasad Deshpande sir, please felicitate CA Rajendra Arora sir on virtual platform. Sir, please. Yes. Then next faculty, I request our chairman, Navita Bora sir, please felicitate CA Anchal Kapoor ma'am on virtual platform. Please accept the felicitation. Yes. Thank you. Now I request our Vice President, Advocate Amrut Saman sir, please felicitate Advocate Abhay Bora sir. Now I request our immediate past president, C. Mr. Vedikar sir, please felicitate Advocate Kishore Lulla sir on virtual platform.
Thank you. Am I audible?
Thank you, sir. And I request our treasurer, Sri Kailash Kashil sir, please felicitate our past president, Prakash Patwardhan sir. Sir, please. Thank you, sir. Thank you, dignitaries on the dais. Please have
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Friends, without wasting time, now we will move for our panel discussion. Let's start with this enlightening discussion on the latest Supreme Court decision in Safari Retreats Pvt Limited and way forward. I hand over the charge to our moderator, Advocate Abhay Bora sir. Sir, please join the session. Thank you.
Good afternoon and hearty welcome to all of you for this 7th study circle meeting of MTPA, the ITC ka Dussehra, on the topic panel discussion on the decision of the Safari Retreats and a way forward. Friends, as we all are aware, on the 3rd of October, the Honorable Apex Court has pronounced this long-awaited judgment in relation to the eligibility of ITC on immovable property, which, in my opinion, has a far-reaching impact on the taxpayers and the real estate sector as a whole. Friends, we all are aware that the Dussehra festival is celebration of victory of good over the evil, and as Lord Rama defeated the demon king Ravana, symbolizing that no matter how powerful the evil may seem, the truth of righteousness and good always wins at the end. Today, in this panel discussion of ITC ka Dussehra, with the resource of knowledge and wisdom of the expert faculties, let us reveal how the evil of disallowance of ITC on immovable property, resulting in injustice of double taxation to the honest taxpayers, can be overcome by justice in their favor. I am thankful to the President, Prasad Deshpande sir, Chairman, Navneet Bora sir, and the entire study circle team for considering our request and organizing a study circle meet, a panel discussion on this subject, which in my opinion is very important, and also for selecting the eminent panelists which we are having today to share their knowledge and wisdom. I also express my heartfelt gratitude to each of the panelists for accepting the invitation within a very short span of time and sparing their worthy time for imparting the knowledge of the participants. As we are having the expert team of panels, and I have extracted 15 issues out of the decision and these issues have been distributed to the panelists. The independent panelist to whom the issue is addressed will express his or her opinion on the particular issue, and after the expressing of by the panelist, the remaining members of the panel also have the liberty to share if they have any views to add on the particular issue, or even if they have a contrary view. With this, friends, let us go ahead with the subject proper and start discussion over the issues. Now, to begin with, we have our senior most panelist, Advocate Kishore Lulla sir. We will start the discussion with the first issue. That good afternoon, Lulla sir. Unmute yourself, please, sir.
Yes. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay.
Sir, to begin with, we would like to know from you what was the contention in the writ petition of the Safari Retreat before the Honorable High Court of Orissa, and what was the judgment of the Orissa High Court? And consequently, after this judgment, we are aware that the department has filed SLP with the Apex Court. What was the contention of the department? Can you please throw light on these issues?
Yeah. Thank you, Abhay. Now, to begin with, the history is like that the Safari Retreats Limited was engaged in the construction of shopping mall, which was planned to lease out property to various tenants. And while constructing the mall, substantial goods and services were utilized in construction like steel, cement, etc., as we all know. The accumulated input tax credit was a very huge amount, that is 34 crores, and hence the contention of Safari Retreat before the Orissa High Court was that it is eligible for input tax credit, and section 17(5)(d) do not apply to the construction of immovable property which is intended for letting out for rent. Now, after this contention, the judgment of the Orissa High Court was in the favor of the applicant. The judgment of the Orissa High Court was delivered on 17th April 2019. And it is like that. They said they held that the applicant is entitled to such input tax credit even if property is given on rent. The reason is that they said that if the department gives the narrow interpretation to section 17(5)(d), it would frustrate the object of the act. And the another reason given is that applicant is paying tax on rental income. So this way or that way, the government is getting the revenue. So after this judgment, since the government was not happy with this judgment, because it is likely that the government may lose in many thousands of crores of rupees if this ITC is given on the rented property. So the contention of the appellant in the apex court was that when it filed the civil application in Supreme Court against the decision of this Orissa High Court, which was in favor of the SSC, the submission of the department was that, but before that I will say that I have narrated in very short, because I am not going into the technicalities, technical terms, just to save the time. And again, Arora ji and Anchal ji are explaining on this issue and to understand easily to the participants. The contention was that since the construction activity of mall turns into an immovable property, input tax credit cannot be granted as per section 17(5) of the GST Act. And they also said that this practice of department is continuing before GST era also. Secondly, what the contention was, ITC is not a fundamental and constitutional right. It's a statutory right. And in the absence of a right under statute, the court cannot issue a mandamus to grant input tax credit. The third submission of the government was that sections 17(5)(c) and D are not constitutionally invalid. For this, the department has given a number of reasons and various decisions also. And again, the department further submitted that if the SSC's submission that a shopping mall is treated as plant, it would amount to hostile discrimination. And lastly, the department submitted that as there is no GST payable on shopping mall being immovable property, there is no need to grant input tax credit. In short, if I summarize whatever I said, is that the government wants to give input tax credit only if the property is sold. And unfortunately, the Orissa High Court has given decision in favor of the SSC that even if the property is let out, the ITC on the construction material is eligible. And since government is not happy, they went in Supreme Court. but the Supreme Court upheld the decision of the Orissa High Court and given the decision in favor of the SSC. Now, whether SSC will really get the benefit or not, or what are the hitches in the decision, that now for this only we have arranged this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Now, we understand that the entire crux of the decision is on the basis of the allowability of input tax credit under section 17(5) subclause C and D. We would have our next issue. We would ask our eminent faculty from Delhi, CA Rajendra Arora, sir. Sir, what is the status of constitutional validity of the clauses C and D of section 17(5) as discussed in the decision?
Thank you, Abhijit. First of all, I would like to greet each one of you. The Advocate Prasad Deshpande ji, President of the MTPA, Naveen Tal Bora ji, Dhyaneshwar Narvade ji, Madam Ashwani, my esteemed panel, Achal ma'am, Lula Saab, Prakash ji, Anil Vikharia ji, I can see you, sir. Thank you for joining. And all the other esteemed listeners. First of all, I would like to thank for having me here on this panel. I'm feeling extremely proud. I don't know whether I qualify to be on this panel or not, because not only the panel is so, I would say, the illuminous, but also the topic or the question in hand is also extremely, I would say, so complex and so important that I am a little confused and in limbo whether I actually qualify to be here on this panel or not, or I would be able to do just, but I would certainly try. Friends, as Kishore sir has already explained the background in a very detailed and I would say very clear manner, what has happened in past. I would only like to add one more thing which Honorable Odisha High Court dwelt upon while delivering that particular landmark judgment in 2018. I'm starting with this phrase because I would like to end with this phrase only. So, Honorable High Court said that if a particular property, if a particular investment is made, I would invite everybody's attention. If a particular investment is made and a property is generated out of it, and that property is put to use and given for some specific purpose, and an outward supply is generated from that particular property, and out of that the tax is charged under the subject, under GST. So it's a complete flow of the inward and outward activities, and there is no breakage. Of course, I would not like to fall into the domain of my fellow panelist, but that was the premise on which Honorable Odisha High Court delivered this particular judgment way back 6 years ago. 6 years ago. Now, as my moderator has asked me the question, the specific question which is before me right now is, what is the status of the constitutional validity? Am I correct, Abhijit? The
Yes.
Constitutional validity of these two provisions of section 617, subsection 5, clause C and D. Friends, so far as the present beautiful 91-pager judgment delivered by the Honorable Apex Court is concerned, they have dedicated around, I would say, 10 paras on a particular aspect of constitutional validity challenge. This 91 pager judgment is divided into 68 paras delivered by the Honorable Bench, Honorable Supreme Court. And they have dedicated a specific para 57 to 68. They have gone into the details of analyzing the judgment delivered by this court only, that is in case of VKC footsteps with respect to refund, where also they have evaluated the constitutional validity of restriction on refund under section 54 subsection 3. They have carved out the background of VKC footsteps delivered by the Honorable Bench themselves, Honorable Court themselves. And the petitioners, the assessees who contended that this particular provision should be read down from the statute book in the light of the fact that these are discriminatory. But Honorable Apex Court was not pleased enough to understand and to appreciate that how could it be discriminatory. They have taken the basis for that the right of the government, the administrator, the exchequer, is there with the exchequer to put certain conditions over the input tax credit or any other thing also. Like Kishore sir was saying that since ALD Motors, Honorable Supreme Court only, we have been understanding the fact that the input tax credit, whether it is a fundamental right, constitutional right, although the assessee, the applicants also place some trust on Article 19(1)(g) and 300 capital A, but they did not elaborated more about how could they have these particular provisions have violated those two clauses. So even if my moderator has not asked, I have added one more question, that what happened for 19(1)(g) or 300 capital A also. So Honorable Court delivered this judgment or addressed this particular part of the judgment is that they said that the input tax credit is not a constitutional right. It is not absolute. Every right provided specifically into the statute, fiscal statute, is subject to certain conditions to be complied. That is a statutory right. And the statutory right can never be absolute. It is coupled with, or it comes with certain pre and post event conditions. Similarly, in case of section 16, when we read the entire section 16.2, then 16.2, various provisos to 16.2, and then 16.4. So certain pre and post conditions are attached in order to avail or in order to exercise that statutory right also. So the Honorable Supreme Court was not pleased in accepting the argument that it is discriminatory. Unequals are treated equals. They have categorically said that no, nothing doing, and we cannot accept this. And the background, of course, has again been made from VKC footsteps on the same lines, or at least some lines have been brought in again into this judgment also. So far as 17.5 C and D is concerned, the constitutional validity in erstwhile VAT laws also, let me tell you for the benefit of the audience, in erstwhile VAT laws also, there used to be conditions attached with respect to the availment of the input tax credit or certain restrictions for the availment of the credit, time limit like. So even they have addressed the issue of 16.4, but that is a separate matter to be considered. But so far as 17.5 CD constitutional validity, the Honorable Apex Court was not pleased. They did not find the merit. They could not read it down, although they have dedicated a wonderful time writing on the analysis of 17.5 C and D. That is a beautiful part. And what is plant, what is machinery, what is plant and machinery. And I would like to congratulate here the honorable councils for appearing, the assessees, that how they have pointed out various aspects on which the Honorable Court was pleased. So far as this is concerned, this is constitutionally very much valid, and Supreme Court has now given its verdict. And to me, till the time it is not sent to the review by the government, it is a law of the land, and it has reached to the finality.
Thank you very much, sir. Such a wonderful explanation, and also taking it towards covering the Article 91G also. You have explained this constitutional validity in a very simple language which could understand. Taking it forward, the entire, now once understood that the constitutional validity is not read down as you said. Now we move to the crux. Now once the constitutional validity is there, and the clauses C and D of section 75 are constitutionally valid, we move forward to the most important part of this judgment, wherein the Honorable Apex Court has taken into discussion whether the immovable property per se, the mall building of the Safari Retreats, whether if it qualifies to be a plant or not, and the issue of plant has been discussed at length in this judgment. I would again request Rajendra Arora ji to explain how the term plant is interpreted in this judgment, and whether any precedent judgments from the erstwhile laws and also the income tax law shall serve the purpose to derive to a clear understanding as to per se what is a plant. And also the next issue is also relating the same, so I would request him to take both together, that whether plant or machinery as per section 17(5)(a) is distinct from plant and machinery as defined under CGST Act. Sir, if you can cover.
Sir, thank you very much for asking me this question. Achal ji, I would like to tell you one thing. When we were researching for it, 91 pages, maybe around 5 times I have read it, gone through. And when we were researching for it, मैं आपको एक बात बताता हूँ. My associate reminded me that, sir, this particular plant and machinery, हमने जो पहला वेबिनार भारत में होने शुरू हुए थे जब कोविड आया था, तो हमने उस समय वेबिनार्स, हम उससे पहले भी ऑनलाइन प्रोग्राम्स करते थे, नॉर्मली इतने ज्यादा नहीं होते थे, तो हमने अपना एक एडवांस जीएसटी कोर्स शुरू किया था उन दिनों में. एंड ड्यूरिंग दैट टाइम वी एड्रेस दिस पर्टिकुलर इशू वेरी क्लियरली, और उसने वो पीपीटी निकाली, और कहीं ना कहीं हम लोग, मतलब it's a blessing of Bajrang Bali only that kind of thought they have put in our mind 6 years back, even before. Of course, Safari Retreat was, Odisha High Court was already decided, but this was not even thought of it that the Honorable Supreme Court would also be deciding on the same grounds. So, of course, I will not be going into those details. We are only going to focus only on the delivery, whatever is being made by the Honorable Apex Court. So now question here before is 2 questions we are clubbing. First question, there are 2 phrases which are used in the law, that is plant and machinery, and दूसरा phrase है plant or machinery. Now plant and machinery is used in 5C, and plant and machinery or machinery, I beg your pardon, this is what is happened, I believe, to the lawmakers also. So plant and machinery is used in the 5C, and plant or machinery is used in 5D. And both these phrases have been carved out as exceptions to the limitation. चाहे वो plant and machinery हो, चाहे or machinery. Now, the plant and machinery, beautifully, I would say 15 paras have been dedicated out of 68 paras only on this particular aspect, that what is analysis of expression plant or machinery, not and or machinery. So, but friends, Honorable Apex Court in this judgment, and I would like to quote one more judgment of Honorable Madras High Court in case of Eicher Motors. That was also for around 100 pages. In that judgment also, Honorable Court had worked so hard, so beautifully to go beyond what has been submitted before in terms of the arguments by the applicant. They went beyond that understanding also and brought some more points to substantiate the situation what actually should have been in case when the cash tax is paid in the cash ledger, it should be considered as a tax is paid and section 50 subsection 1 should not be invoked and interest should not be charged. So in the same lines, Honorable Apex Court, which is the final authority in our law for the interpretation of the statutes, has gone beyond that also. So, of course, the counsel, the applicant made very detailed submissions. Although rather I would tell you, Abhiji, Honorable Supreme Court has given a line. उन्होंने कहा है कि भी देखिए, advocates and judges are also humans. आप इतने बड़े बड़े इलैबोरेटेड सबमिशंस दे देते हो, हमें उसको समराइज करना है, पढ़ना है, समझना है, तो कोशिश करो कि उसको कंसाइज रखो. और उन्होंने एक शब्द का प्रयोग किया, दैट वर्ड इज यूज्ड बाय one author who wrote Julius Caesar. I'm not remembering the name of the author. So he wrote that brevity is the soul of wit. And this court used that brevity is the soul of advocacy. So they have beautifully written, and in fact, hats off, wonderful wisdom and unprecedented. So they have said that the council has said that at 10 occasions, the word plant and machinery is used in the law. Plant and machinery. Listen to me very carefully. I would like to create that distinction in the minds of the listener. So you have to be with me. So the word plant and machinery is used 10 times at different places in the law. And the phrase plant or machinery is used only once in the entire law. And that is only at this 17.5D. Also, the council has submitted another argument that earlier, when the model GST law before 2017 and 2016 somewhere, when it was presented for the suggestions and comments, in 17.5 CD, in both the provisions, phrase plant and machinery was used. And when the law came in existence, the phrase is changed in D from and to or. So there should have been some parliamentarian intent. And this judgment, I must tell you, like we quote Ecom Coffee Guild Trading Company judgment in case of input tax credit for so far as the pre-GST regime also VAT credit, and now the same principles and ratio decidendi can apply in GST regime also. I would like the readers or the listeners to read this judgment thoroughly, like a student of law. Read from page 32 to 34, and they have dedicated just 1.5 pages. And they have said that rules regarding the interpretation of taxing statutes. You must read it. I'm not going into detail because that may be the subject matter of some other panelist. So I'm only trying to bring home the fact that is that plant and machinery is plant or machinery. The phrase is specifically with a specific intent is used by the legislature. And the Honorable Supreme Court has categorically said that we, while interpreting the provisions of the law, cannot add or reduce even a single word into the statute book. Therefore, Mr. ASG, you know what? Interestingly, the argument made by on behalf of the government is, Your Lordship, this word is and only, but or is galti se used. The government wanted to write and only, but ये गलती से और लग गया है, क्योंकि and की definition 17.5 के नीचे explanation है और chapter 5 और 6 के लिए पूरी लगती है. Therefore, the Honorable ASD on behalf of the government said that it is mistakenly used as or, but it is and only. Then the court themselves, it was not filed by in the rejoinder by Mr. Counsel on behalf of the applicant. The court themselves said that it is a matter of past 5 years that the matter is pending before us. Till now, the government did not come in and correct the mistake. They must have known it now. They must have come to know it now. If they have not come forward and corrected, so it was not a mistake. It was an intention of the statute to use these two different phrases. And interestingly, when a particular phrase or a word is used in the statute book, my dear friends, a student of law, Prakash Bhai, you give it to your son also. He's a rather professor of law. So when you read as a student of law, the principles for reading law, interpreting law are so beautifully enshrined into this particular judgment. Therefore, I would always recommend that this judgment at least should be brought into the law books or the course books of the curriculum of the LLB, the law graduation. So they said that when a particular word or a phrase is used in a statute book and the definition of that word is not provided in the statute book, then the common parlance would come into picture. And interestingly, the word here, plant, is not defined. So the common parlance, what does common parlance say? Now the Honorable Apex Court went ahead. They have dwelt upon around 4 beautiful judgments delivered by them only in various different fiscal statutes also, even including income tax. Honorable ASD Council has submitted this argument that the word from income tax can also be brought as an inference into GST. Mr. ASD said, no, this is GST law. Income tax has no relevance. So you cannot bring any other definition from other statute into this particular statute. Honorable Supreme Court said, no. They have used a particular case law in case of Taj Mahal Hotel from income tax. And there are 4 judgments which have been used by the Honorable Supreme Court delivering and explaining the word plant. That is solid and correcting works. It was into construction of roads. Then Taj Mahal hotels, sanitary fittings की बात की गई यहाँ पे. Anand theaters में theater जो cinema है, whether that falls into the definition of plant or not, उसकी बात की गई. फिर वो 2 judges bench थी वो judgment, although that judgment was not in favor of considering the cinemas as plant, but that was being overruled or somewhere 3 judges bench delivered considering the Anand theaters another judgment, Karnataka Power Corporation, and these 4 judgments, even one more judgment has been quoted. I could not write it here, but that is Aqua Farms Limited, considering the Karnataka Power Corporation only. So on the basis of these judgments delivered by the Supreme Court only, Honorable Supreme Court only, they said that plant has a very wide, I would say, wide angle, wide multitude. Interestingly, one more thing which immediately recalls in my mind, there is one word used while you interpret the taxing statutes. So one should be interpreting it with wide angle. The Honorable Supreme Court said it can be wide angle, but it cannot be wild angle. So beautifully, whenever it clicks to your mind, you smile inside that what a way of explaining and what a way of reasonableness with which the Honorable Apex Court has delivered this judgment. So what I was trying to bring home was that plant is defined in a different way, where I would not be barging into the domain of my other panelists, where the functionality test will come into play. But plant has a wider connotation to include, interestingly, whatever is used to provide output supply, output services, output supply of goods. If there is a nexus proved, correlation proved then that can fall into plant. Like sanitary fittings in case of Taj Mahal hotels, इनकम टैक्स का डेप्रिसिएशन सेक्शन 32 में लेना था. उन्होंने कहा, ऑनरेबल सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने कहा भी, देखिए अगर सैनिटरी फिटिंग्स विल बी इंस्टॉल्ड इनटू द होटल विद द वॉशरूम, so the hotel will be able to attract more customers, provide better services, will be able to charge better revenue in the course or furtherance of the business. In case of income tax, the similar phrase is upheld in income tax also, that it is used in the course or furtherance of the business. In Taj Mahal hotels, honorable apex court delivered on the same lines. So, and interestingly, plant or machinery only, I'm only restricting my talk to that only. In this judgment now, the honorable apex court said that, please don't forget the first statement what I made as my opening remarks, like what Safari Retreat Honorable or Odisha High Court delivered in what manner. Now, plant or machinery, they said no definition. So plant or machinery can be defined like this, which is whatever is used and can be put to the functionality test, that would become plant. And if it becomes plant, it carves onto, it falls into the exception of 17(5)(d). Simple. I'm repeating, if something becomes plant, and they have said plant is having a wider connotation, wider extension. So if it becomes plant, it falls into the exception of 17(5)(d). Eventually, the input tax credit would be available. Now, the here moot question would be that what plant would actually satisfy the functionality test. So I'm resting here.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. This takes us to the next issue. This issue is addressed to CA Achal Kapoor, ma'am, who is joined us all the way from Amritsar. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you so much, sir.
Ma'am, we would like to understand from you what are the observations of the apex court in the judgment on the issue of breaking of the ITC chain. The core intent of the GST law is this flow of input tax credit, smooth flow of input tax credit, and this judgment is affecting the breaking of the ITC chain. So can you elaborate on this term?
Thank you so much, Abhay sir, for the wonderful question, I must say. First of all, MTP, I'm very thankful for giving me this opportunity to be here on this platform. And yes, wishing everyone very happy Dussehra in advance. And also remembering the legendary Ratan Tata sir from this platform. Moreover, sharing this virtual dais with the eminent speakers for the day. I'm very thankful, MTPA, for providing me this opportunity. Now, coming to the question, sir, I must say, Abhijit, this is a very well-drafted question. Entire 2019 Odisha High Court judgment, which was delivered in this case of Safari Retreat, was just 1 second. Iska volume down kar. Its 2019 judgment was also based upon this concept of chain. I think so entire GST, Abhiji, has been based upon the chain that is to be continued. Chain in the first instance means that the credit should flow seamlessly from one person to another. But what has been given and what has been taken? 2019 judgment also said the ITC should be allowed, it should not break the chain, and hence the decision was given favoring the taxpayer. Now here, the ASG raised a question that wherever a building comes into picture, the chain is always broken. He also referred to entry number 49 of the state list, which says on land and building, it is the right of the state to make the laws. So whenever a building comes into picture, it breaks the seamless flow. Why it breaks? Because ASG considered that on the sale of a building, there is no tax, no GST that is being levied. So hence, ITC should not be allowed because the building itself breaks the chain. However, Now, I also request that whenever we read the judgment, always consider 3 points. Whether we are reading the taxpayers, the assessee's viewpoint, whether we are reading the department's viewpoint, and what the court has to say or comment upon the same. Now, if I come to the paragraph 53 of this judgment, it categorically mentioned that it is not only the state who has the right to make the law. Everything like renting, construction of it is covered in the GST embed. So merely saying that building coming into picture breaks the chain is not correct. The argument regarding breaking of chain cannot be accepted in its entirety is what the Honorable Apex Court has mentioned. But yes, if the building is used for the personal purposes, for on account, then only it breaks the chain. They have made a point here that two unequals are being treated as an equal. Now I tell you what they have to say and how this chain points come into view. If there is a building, the cement and all the construction material is being purchased, tax is being paid on the same, ITC is not allowed. One is the person who is renting that property. Another is the person who is making that property for the selling purposes. The person who is making it for the selling purposes is not going to come into the chain because his output is exempt. But the person who is going to rent it is the very much part of the chain because its output is going to be taxable. So we need to check, but in both the cases, the ITC are disallowed. So two unequals are being treated as equal. This is what the contentions have been raised from the assessee's viewpoint, that it should not be done. Merely building coming into existence does not break the chain. You must see whether the building, I'm using the words, and this is what I consider is one of the crux word, whether the building is a means for obtaining the income or it is just a place to carry on the business. And this is what the functionality test is also based upon. If a building is a means for earning that income, which is a taxable income on which we are going to pay the GST, say it be leasing income, renting income, construction income, and whatsoever, ITC should be allowed. So considering this entire judgment is based upon the concept of chain itself, chain is not getting broken when you are earning and getting a taxable income from that building, considering the functionality test, which we will be taking up further, and only that a particular aspect is taken, that when a building is sold as it is, as per schedule 3 entry number 5, only then it breaks the chain, otherwise not in all the situation. And furthermore, considering the basic nature of GST, no direct correlation with the input service to output service is not necessary. So we must see, अगर inputs procure हो रहे हैं, बिल्डिंग एक मीन्स है. एग्जाम्पल सर, कोर्ट ने यहाँ पे इनकम टैक्स की बहुत सारी जजमेंट्स कोर्ट की है. इवन आई हैव रेड अ जजमेंट ऑफ इनकम टैक्स वेयर इट वाज टॉकिंग अबाउट द स्प्रे पेंट बूथ्स. जॉस्ट इंजीनियरिंग जजमेंट, इट इज 2002 judgment. They said a spray paint booth is a particular type of building which is it is particularly meant, which we will be relating as to what Rajendra sir just mentioned, is a plant. It has specific technicalities. So such buildings credit should be allowed. And just because whenever building comes into picture, it breaks the chain, it is not correct to say that. At each and every point, we need to check some other features and not merely that the building will break the ITC chain. So the court has very categorically mentioned it in paragraph 53 of this judgment. And even the Odisha High Court judgment was entirely based upon this concept, which came in taxpayers' favor.
Thank you, ma'am, for explaining the seamless flow by the way of interpretation, how in para 53, the judgment, they have considered the breaking of the chain. Taking ahead, we would ask you to kindly inform us how the Apex Court has interpreted own account for the purpose of availment of this. ITC. It is connected with the breaking of the chain. But own account, how do we come to a conclusion what is own account? That is what we would like to understand better from.
Sir, first of all, I'm not able to unmute. Yeah, now I can. Now, sir, coming towards the question of on account, first of all, these words, the on account is used in section 17, subsection 5, clause D. It has no reference in clause C. It is particularly used in clause C. And the courts have held that whenever we talk about the term on account, so it means, first of all, the personal usage, that a particular thing is being used for the personal usages on account. Secondly, the court has also mentioned that the personal usages means when it is not intended to be done for letting out, renting out, means your office. Let's come to chartered accountants itself. So if a chartered accountant is getting the office ready, it is meant for its own use. It is not meant for leasing, renting out, or other things. So what they have held that if I talk about on accounting, it means that either using it for the personal purposes, or even if it is being used for the purpose of business or profession, like a factory building and otherwise, that will be counted here. The paragraph 32 of the judgment, they have mentioned the 2 points. If it is made for the personal use and not for the services, firstly. Second, it is used by the person constructing as a setting in which the business is carried out. Again, coming to the same point, it is a place for where you are carrying on the business. If it is only a place for carrying on your business, may it be a factory premises, may it be a chartered accountant office, may it be an advocate's office, that is meant for his own account, for his personal use, not meant for the leasing, letting out, selling purposes. That will not be covered in the on account. That is why at the end also, while pronouncing the judgment, the court has said we need to check that whether the building is getting used for its own account or not, which is the very basis of section 17, subsection 5, clause D.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. Arora sir, you wanted to add something, it seems.
Sorry, sir, I'm little not able to hear. 1 second, can you please shift to the another
Yeah,
panelist to allow me a minute for the same?
Yes,
The
tell me, sir.
voice, getting
Yes, Arora sir, you wanted to
Yes.
add something on this issue?
No, nothing. Perfectly elaborated by ma'am.
Yes.
I was just trying to ask the host to make me co-host so that I can mute and unmute at my will.
Okay, fine, sir.
And now I can hear.
Yeah. So, ma'am, with such a fantastic and brief understanding of the own account and breaking the chain, the seamless flow of ITC, we move forward towards the main important aspect of this judgment, is the basis on which it has been set aside and revert back to the Orissa High Court, is to check whether the functionality test is to be applied, whether the particular mall in question, whether it would whether it is a plant or not, on the basis of the functionality test. So we would like to understand from you that what is the functionality test and how it needs to be interpreted. Further, whether there are any precedents which are available in relation to such functionality test being applied earlier.
Yes, sir. Coming towards the functionality test for which the case has been sent back to the Odisha High Court for checking that even the mall has met the functionality test or not. Certainly. Sir, as we are aware that Odisha High Court judgment was based where the malls, the shops were getting let out in the mall. So court has said that yes, you have said 17(5)(d), the credit should be allowed, the apex court mentioned, but Odisha High Court has not commented that whether that building goes for the essentiality or functionality test. So the other word which we can replace is specific technical requirements. To ease it out, if a particular building is designed in such a way that it is meant to be used for that particular thing only, it turns out to be a plant. As the eminent panelist Rajendra sir mentioned about the difference of plant or machinery and plant and machinery. 17(5)(c) uses the word and. So court said that to particularly defined in the act, and the possibility of including any type of building in it, in that is overruled. In 17(5)(d), the word is plant or machinery, and sir has very well explained that already. Plant or machinery, it means plant is still has the capacity to include in it the building. Now, what type of building to be included is a question mark. For that, they said you need to check whether that building passes the functionality test or it does not passes. Functionality test means whether it is being made in such a specific technical way that it can meet out the requirements for which it is getting constructed. Now, coming towards the jurisprudence, the many judgments have been referred, may it be the Anand theaters of income tax, may it be the pools on the ponds. Abhay sir, you said, has it been in picture before? I would say many a times. Since 1991, there have been many judgments. I still remember that movable or immovable thing. At that time also, it was referred that whether this particular building qualifies as a plant or it is a building. So what it says that like in this judgment also there is referred to the judgment of solid and good construction work, where there were asphalt drum mix plant. So again, a question arises whether such drum mix plants, which are particularly meant for that particular thing, is a building or a plant. So again, coming towards the same spray paint booths, which was taken up the concept in the Jost engineering case. There also the courts have already held many a times कि अगर एक बिल्डिंग एक पर्टिकुलर तरीके से बनाई गई है, डिजाइन की गई है, जो उसकी स्पेसिफिक टेक्निकल रिक्वायरमेंट्स को पूरा करती है, तो वो उसका फंक्शनैलिटी टेस्ट क्लियर करती है, एंड इट बिकम्स एलिजिबल एज अ प्लान. Or being plant or machinery, they need to be mutually exclusive. So it is not machinery, but if the building qualifies to be a plant, yes, the credit of the same should be allowed. And to determine this particular question, the case has been remanded back to the Honorable Odisha High Court to check whether the mall which was in question has met out that functionality test or not. Again, it should be a means. Specific technical requirements should be met out. But let me tell you, Abhay sir, I personally feel, I don't know what other panelists are going to say on the same. It has again opened up a Pandora box of litigation. Sir, पहले तो था नहीं मिलना तो नहीं मिलना. अब तो ये situation हो गई है, मिलना है या नहीं मिलना, it has become a circumstantial matter. So whether it is qualifying or it is not qualifying, I again have a question for everyone. अगर एक पर्टिकुलर बिल्डिंग है, चाहे वो सिनेमा हॉल या थिएटर है, उसमें एक पर्टिकुलर वे में बिल्डिंग बनाई गई है, उसमें स्टेप्स रखे गए हैं, स्क्रीन्स का डिस्प्ले एक पर्टिकुलर वे से दिया गया है, वो बिल्डिंग अनटिल और अनलेस उसको डिमोलिश ना किया जाए, वो उस किसी और चीज के लिए यूज ही नहीं हो सकती. The question comes, although Anand theaters have been referred, does not it qualify the functionality test? Although they said that the cinema halls and hotels, because Anand theater says it's not plant, although if those buildings have been made in a particular way which meet only the specific requirements to be as a theater or a cinema hall, should not they be required to go through the functionality test and then take their fate again? So again, a very big Pandora box is going to open. But yes, we have come from exact negative to some positivity. That not allowed has now come to may or may not be allowed depending upon the conditions of that particular case.
That was
Can I say something when what Achal I'm just concluded about?
definitely, sir. Please.
Okay, ma'am, when you were saying that it is going to open the Pandora's box and litigation is going to open up largely, I just want to give my response by way of quoting a specific instance what happened just yesterday with one of the top officers of investigating agencies here in Delhi. So he asked me, Arora ji, everything is getting settled now. Things are now artificial intelligence, portal is doing everything, notices are already अपने आप चले जाते हैं. आपका और हमारा क्या होगा सर कुछ टाइम बाद? सो आंचल मैम मेरे ख्याल ये वाली सिचुएशन जो है उनका और हमारा धंधा चालू रखेगी तो ठीक है.
बिल्कुल
Let it
बिल्कुल
be
सर,
like-
the court has duly considered us for that.
अच्छा जोक्स अपार्ट एक बात यहाँ पर पैरा नंबर 65 क्लॉज सी में कंसीडर की गई है. जैसे कि अभी मैम बोल रहे थे कि अबाउट होटल्स एंड सिनेमास, तो यहाँ पर क्वेश्चन क्लॉज सी में पूछा गया, ऑनरेबल कोर्ट ने एक बात कही, कहा कि द क्वेश्चन वेदर ए मॉल कॉमा वेयर हाउस और एनी बिल्डिंग, उसके बाद ये बोला गया अदर देन होटल और सिनेमा थिएटर. मैं रिपीट कर रहा हूं, द क्वेश्चन वेदर अ मॉल वेयर हाउस और एनी बिल्डिंग कैन बी क्लासिफाइड, मैंने वो वो फ्रेज हटा दिया है, अदर देन होटल और सिनेमा. आप अभी दोबारा सुनिए, द क्वेश्चन वेदर अ मॉल वेयर हाउस और एनी बिल्डिंग कैन बी क्लासिफाइड एज ए प्लांट within the meaning of expression plant or machinery used in 17.5D is a factual question, like what ma'am was saying. Now I don't want to repeat it. Now here question is, when the phrase is designed, the language is designed, the court itself said, I'm a student of law, I'm reading it, I'm interpreting my way, other than hotel or cinema theater. So when a particular question is being designed कि कैसे वो functionality test pass, तो सिनेमा और थिएटर को, होटल और थिएटर को उस क्वेश्चन में डाला ही नहीं गया. इसका अर्थ यह है कि वो हमेशा फंक्शनैलिटी टेस्ट पास कर लेगा, या इसका अर्थ है कि उसके फंक्शनैलिटी टेस्ट को लगाएंगे ही नहीं हम? मेरे ख्याल ऐसा तो मीनिंग नहीं हो सकता कि उस पर फंक्शनैलिटी टेस्ट लगाएंगे ही नहीं हम. मेरे हिसाब से तो ये होगा कि उस पर फंक्शनैलिटी टेस्ट लगना ही नहीं चाहिए. It is my humble view. My team also has almost of the same view. That is why I could speak like this. एक और बात बस I would like to say here. What ma'am was saying, I am just adding or maybe repeating at the cost of repetition. In para 46, Honorable Court beautifully said, the very fact that the expression immovable property other than plant and machinery is used. Immovable property 17.5D में phrase use है immovable property other than plant or machinery. It shows that there could be a plant that is an immovable property. So please, Mr. ASD or the government, do not have this in mind that a immovable property cannot be treated as a plant. And the court has given various judgments, and there are multiple judgments, like Jost Engineering ma'am was referring just, where immovable property becomes plant also. And the functionality index, when is essential, like what ma'am said, I'm not going to repeat it.
Sir, this is
Sir, just Abhi sir, let me just, I'm sorry for encroaching in, but absolutely, Rajendra sir, I am also of the view that the hotel and the cinema halls, because of their specific structures, should be allowed the ITC. I also go by the same thing. But again, whether the hotel meets up the functionality test or not, we need to check or not, is a big question. And that puts a light that they have also referred that Anand, in some points at Anand Theatre judgment that has been referred. even a normal building can be used as a guest house, where it may not meet the functionality test, and it will further go into the question that whether that guest house is meeting that requirement of functionality test or not. So, which will again open up a second round of litigation here.
Yes, ma'am.
But ma'am, I'm sorry,
बताइए
moderator
बताइए
sir.
sir. Please go ahead.
You were very right in saying that Honorable Odisha High Court delivered the judgment on this very line only. That is why I started my statement with this thing, that the complete chain is already established by the Honorable Odisha High Court. And when, so far as this particular judgment is concerned, I may not be knowing about the other parts, other aspects, other like banquets, or of course not banquets, but hotels, like warehouses, cold storages, what would happen with them. But so far as this particular Safari retreat is concerned, the Honorable Court, Odisha High Court, it is going back to them to evaluate whether it passes the functionality test. My humble view is now Odisha High Court will dwell upon it and design a standard functionality test also, the SOP for functionality test also, to my view. Amit Shirde ji is joined. Welcome, Amit bhai. So already you were there, but you just, I think you have just put your
Yes,
camera
sir.
on, so I can see you now. That's it. That's it.
Sir, can we conclude out of this? Actually, the main purpose for taking this question was now taking, first of all, hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
The main purpose behind the discussion on this functionality test was, in a simple layman's terms, if everything is discussed in this judgment by the Honorable Apex Court, then what is the purpose for which a functionality test was required? Ideally, whether it is required, is it a purpose for delaying the justice, or can this become a precedent now for applicability of ITC at all the relevant purposes, to apply the functionality test and then decide whether ITC is eligible or not?
If I may reply,
Yeah, please.
first question came to my mind was this only, कि यार ये तो सुलझाने से ज्यादा उलझा दिया.
Right.
लेकिन सर, the honorable court played very intelligently here or acted very intelligently here. उन्होंने क्या किया, उन्होंने वापस भेजा, और जैसे मैंने अभी पिछली स्टेटमेंट में कंक्लूड किया था कि नाउ उड़ीसा हाई कोर्ट विल डिजाइन एन एसओपी or will design an exhaustive list. How would it be functionality? How is it been passing the functionality? How would a building passing the functionality test or not? So now it is going to be crystallized, sir. Maybe already now the application is filed before the Honorable Odisha High Court by Advocate Vivekanand Mohanty ji from Cuttack. He's a good friend of mine and elder brother. So we have been already for past 6 years we have been in touch with for this, and so it is already filed with them, Honorable Court. Now, to my view, the court deliberately sent it back to cement it, to crystallize it in a manner that it cannot be challenged now. And whispering says that the government is going to file a review petition also. The grapevine says that government, because I am sitting in Delhi, everyone expects me to speak the grapevine, so as it becomes my responsibility to identify the whisper coming my way. So it says that the government is going to file a review petition.
तो इन शॉर्ट टर्म्स अगर हिंदी में बोला जाए तो इस जजमेंट के बारे में आप सबसे सुनने के बाद ऐसा लग रहा है कि दिल्ली अभी दूर है.
सर हिंदी में तो आपने मुझे लगा बोलना नहीं है, नहीं तो मैं तो हिंदी में ही बोलता हूँ, आप सब अंग्रेजी में बोल रहे थे.
Right, sir.
And Kharia
Thank you so
Saab?
much.
सर अभी सर whatever we are taking from this judgment और जो पहले उड़ीसा हाई कोर्ट ने भी बोला, considering that what I consider and what I have done in my client's case, we are not writing off the GST, we are not making GST the part of fixed assets at all, and
Yes.
not claiming depreciation on the same. We are making it stand in the balance sheet as a current as an asset. As and when the judgment finally takes its course, let the Odisha High Court come up with a clarity on the same again, because the case has gone back to that. Or
Yes,
let's see how the judgment takes the further course through the review petition by the government or further amendment in the law, etc., etc. I have advised my client to let it stand in the balance sheet, claim it
Yes,
as and
we'll
when
come
they are
back to you,
incurring
ma'am,
the
on this.
expense.
We'll come back to you on this because we have
Yeah.
a specific question on this issue. How
Yeah,
to
sure.
in your books. Yeah. Now let us go ahead to one more important aspect. We would like to invite my fellow friend from Pune, Prakash Patwardhan, who is a panelist with us. Hi, Prakash. Good afternoon. Prakash,
Yes, good afternoon. Am I audible?
yes, Prakash, you are audible. At a few instances, uh, this judgment has made observations on section 16(4). So we would like to understand from you how would this judgment be helpful, whether it would be helpful for the interpreting 16(4), or it can be used anywhere in the context of 16(4).
First of all, thank you very much for accommodating me in this elite panel. As I am a proud member of a backbencher, uh, this is the last panelist I am supposed to be. And almost as usual, we have a 45-50 minutes का क्लास रहता है और मेरा टर्न आने तक तो क्लास खत्म हो जाता है. तो आज अभी तक तो मेरा क्लास खत्म आने को हो रहा है था, मगर वी हैव अ इंटेलिजेंट अभय इज हियर, उन्होंने पकड़ के रखा. तो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल आई थैंक यू accommodating me here because we have a elite class of all the people who have actually gone through this uh, I can call it historical judgment. हम हर बार हिस्ट्री में देखते हैं एंड हिस्ट्री इज ऑलवेज यूजफुल एंड इम्पोर्टेंट रोल इन आवर प्रोफेशन एज वेल एज इन आवर लाइवलीहुड. एक पुणे की घटना है, आई एम जस्ट गो रिलेटिंग विद दिस, कि पेशवा जो पुणे के है वहां पे एक बहुत बड़ा इंसिडेंट हुआ था विच इज वन ऑफ द हिस्टोरिकल थिंग. आनंदीबाई बोल के एक है, आई विल नॉट गो इनटू द अदर थिंग्स. वहां पे उन्होंने उनके नेफ्यू को मारने के लिए कोई लोग भेजे थे. द नोट वाज रिटन बाय हिज हस्बैंड दैट सो एंड सो पर्सन को इन मराठी धरावे. सो धरावे मीन्स पकड़ना. द नोट वाज जस्ट मैनिपुलेटेड बाय दैट आनंदीबाई. उन्होंने ध को निकाल के उसको म डाल दिया और धरावे की जगह मारावे ऐसा बोल के, एंड देन द रेस्ट ऑफ द हिस्ट्री. I think this plant or machinery is nothing but same as the history follow what the Anandibai has done. With the permission of the Abhayji, I just give few more minutes for this provision which I have understood. Then I can go with the 16(4). This
Right.
plant or machinery is originated from the VAT Act, which we have a very same provision in the section Rule 54G and Rule 54H of the MVAT Act. The same provision has introduced here, and they introduce goods and or services and works contract services. This, I think this has also, this part of the drafting area has come to the Maharashtra state also, and it is nothing but a copy paste. And I have found that plant and machinery and plant or machinery is nothing but a typographical mistake, which I understood with the concerned people. But let's this typographical mistake give us good money, क्योंकि वहां पे एम्बिग्यूटी आएगी तो अरोड़ा जी हम ठीक ठाक से काम कर सकते हैं, बराबर है. सो दिस प्लांट और मशीनरी एंड और को हम बहुत ग्लोरीफाई कर सकते हैं. सो नाउ कमिंग बैक टू माय सब्जेक्ट क्वेश्चन प्रॉपर. ये 16.4 that we all are already know that it has amended, and that now 17 to 20 year 21 ये एक चीज उन्होंने अमेंड कर दी. Honorable Supreme Court has also make some comment on this amendment कि ऐसे abrupt amendment आप क्यों करते हो, it should be drafted properly वगैरह वगैरह. I will not go into detail because already eminent panelists have covered everything. I will go with the specific view of the Honorable Court. That 16.4 it has the petitioner has specifically made this insertion in his writ petition that 16.4 should be allowed. क्या हो रहा है कि 17 सेक्शन का जो 5C और D का जो इश्यू चल रहा है उसमें उनका मानना है कि it will be allowed by the apex court, and if it allowed then this 16.4 will be a hurdle for claiming input credit. क्योंकि 16.4 कह रहा है कि with the specification डायरेक्टिव टर्म में हम बोल सकते हैं उसको कि वो आपको इतने तारीख के अंदर ही आपने उसको क्लेम करना है. इफ यू आर नॉट क्लेम देन योर इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट इज नो मोर. सो दी 16.4 इज नथिंग बट इन अ डायरेक्टिव टर्म, और उसको उन्होंने कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन वैलिडिटी को चैलेंज किया था. उसको उन्होंने पूरी तरह से खारिज कर दिया है कि देयर विल बी नो इशू बिकॉज they have absolutely say when you ask for the constitutional validity there must be a ambiguity in the provision. When you go to interpret the things there must be a ambiguity in the provision. Now this ITC मेरे ख्याल से आपका right नहीं है. You have to claim and take the appropriate provision of the law और आपको allow होगी. सेक्शन 17 says this कि आपको ये कंडीशन होगी तो अलाउ होगे, ये कंडीशन नहीं होगी तो नहीं अलाउ. सिमिलरली सेक्शन 16.4 इज आल्सो डायरेक्टिव. इट्स अ क्लियर कट डायरेक्टिव टर्म, उसमें कुछ एम्बिग्यूटी नहीं है कि आपने इन तारीख में अगर आपने क्लेम किया देन इट इज अलाउड. सो इन दिस होल सिनारियो सुप्रीम कोर्ट हैज क्लियरली मेंशन that there is no ambiguous position in relation to the 16.4. तो आपको अगर 16.4 को ambiguous होगा तो आपको उसको सिद्ध करना पड़ेगा कि ये ambiguous है. मगर this 16.4 is a directive nature. आपको ये चीज इस तरीके से करनी है, इतना साफ सुथरा चीज है, तो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल वैलिडिटी में उन्होंने उसको खारिज कर दिया है. एंड अकॉर्डिंग टू मी देन स्पेसिफिक प्रोविजन इज मेड इन द लॉ दैट ये आपको ITC कैसे लेना है, किस तरीके से लेना है, तो इसको 16.4 में उन्होंने एक बार किया है. तो मेरे ख्याल से ये चीजें उन्होंने इस तरह से डिस्कस करके इन द क्रट एंड नटशेल 16.4 कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल वैलिडिटी उन्होंने नकार दी है along with the 17.5C and D. एंड मेरे ख्याल से इफ वी गो विद दी, क्योंकि अभी इसके ऊपर बहुत सारा आंचल जी और राजेंद्र जी ने ऑलरेडी एक्सप्लेन किया हुआ है, तो आई विल नॉट गो इनटू डिटेल ऑफ दैट. बट द क्रक्स ऑफ द थिंग्स इज इन द डायरेक्टिव नेचर एंड द एम्बिगुअस सिचुएशन ऑफ द provision is not there, then there is no question of constitutional validity as far as the 16.4 is concerned. So this is the nutshell of 16.4. As a backbencher, my class is over. Thank you.
Thank you, Prakash. The mere purpose for taking this question in was in the conclusion at para 65, they have specifically mentioned that the challenge to the constitutional validity of clauses C and D of 17.5 and section 16.4 of the CGST Act is not established.
Yes.
Now, what would this have an impact on the other decisions on the basis of 16.4, which are there? That was the intent behind taking it. Arora sir, actually, ma'am, Kishore ji, if any one of you could further throw light on this issue.
सर क्या सवाल है, जरा दोबारा पूछिए, मुझे पता
सर,
नहीं था ये मेरे लिए है, मैं भी
नहीं
थोड़ा सा।
नहीं सर, सब
हाँ।
आपके लिए ही है सर।
अच्छा, नहीं सर, मैं ऐसे कैसी बात कर रहे हो? प्रकाश भाई
चैलेंज।
ऑलरेडी बोल चुके हैं कि हम बैक बेंचर बना दिया है। अब लग रहा है कि मैं बोलूं, प्रकाश भाई बाकी सब सवालों के जवाब आप ही दोगे हमारे लिए।
नहीं सर, अभी बैक बेंचर का पहला क्लास ओवर हुआ है, अभी दूसरा क्लास चालू हुआ है ना, तो
हाँ,
अभी
फिर
अभी
ठीक
फ्रंट
है,
बेंचर
फिर
हो ना।
ठीक है, फिर ठीक है।
नहीं, अभी जैसे कि 16.4 एट लेंथ डिस्कस नहीं हुआ है ये जजमेंट में,
सर
बट फिर
देखो,
भी
मुझे तो एक सवाल
कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल
बड़ा
वैल्यू।
अच्छा लग रहा है। ये जगदीश शर्मा जी ने एक सवाल पूछा है, मुझे तो ये बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है। अरोड़ा सर, वेदर वी हैव टू स्टार्ट क्लेमिंग आईटीसी नाउ, 16.4 इज देयर। हाँ, वो दैत्य तो है ही है, वो दानव तो खड़ा ही है।
यस।
तो अब समस्या क्या है सर, जो आंचल मैम ने किया या जो और लोगों ने किया, अगर वो आपने किया होता तो आज आप जो है होनोलुलु होते, है ना, रियो दी जेनेरियो होते, तो लेकिन या अंडमान निकोबार होते हैं। अब तो मालदीव्स भी दोबारा जा सकते हैं, मोदी जी ने बोल दिया है। तो सर मेरे हिसाब से, नाउ द क्रेडिट विच इज नॉट टेकन, the credit on which is capitalized in the books of accounts and become part of the fixed asset, then the depreciation is also claimed in the form of building. ASD is specifically saying that आपने उसको बिल्डिंग का हिस्सा बना दिया, है ना, तो डेप्रिसिएशन ले लिया, तो दोनों में से एक ही बात ले सकते हैं। हालांकि वो सेपरेट एंगल था, कोर्ट ने उसको एक्सक्लूड किया है। लेकिन नाउ मेरे पास तो आंचल मैम क्वेरीज आनी शुरू हो गई 3 अक्टूबर के बाद। वेरी बिग 5 स्टार होटल रीच्ड आउट टू अस। उन्होंने कहा हमारे पास 150 करोड़ रुपए का क्रेडिट है, जो कि हमने किताबों में फिक्स एसेट में डाल दिया है। यू टेक 20% एंड गेट इट आउट। मैंने कहा भाई हाथ जुड़वाओ, आई कांट डू इट। नाउ हाउ वुड यू change your books of accounts? How would you revise your balance sheet? How depreciation is already claimed on that? How would you reverse the depreciation? What would you do? And the law says that where the depreciation is claimed, no input tax credit is there. So अगर तो आपने, हमने 2018 के बाद जो पहली बैलेंस शीट बनी, जिसने भी whosoever asked me, मैंने उससे कहा इसको क्रेडिट को खड़ा कर दो वहां पर किताबों में, और 3B में लेकर रिवर्स कर दो, 3B में लेकर रिवर्स कर दो। then 16.4, the vices of 16.4 are relieved। वो गंगा नहा लिया, उसके सारे पाप माफ हो गए, मुक्त हो गया, वो पाप मुक्त हो गया धरती पर रहते रहते ही, वो उसको बैकुंठ यही मिल गया। वो क्रेडिट जो है परमानेंट परपेचुअल नेचर का बन गया। अब अगर ऐसा कोई क्रेडिट होता तो आप रीअवेल कर सकते थे। अब ऐसा तो कोई क्रेडिट है नहीं, लेकिन अब भी आप शुरू कर दो, अभी भी क्रेडिट लेना मत। इस महीने से अगर या आपका कोई नया कंस्ट्रक्शन शुरू हो रहा है, तो आप क्रेडिट एक्यूमुलेट करके, अवेल करके, अगर तो आपके ऊपर, अपने ऊपर इतना संयम है कि क्रेडिट आपके लेजर में नजर आ रहा है और आप अवेल ना करें, यूटिलाइज ना करें, तो अवेल भी कर लो और क्रेडिट लेजर में भी ले जाओ। और अगर खुद पर संयम नहीं है, या बिजनेसमैन जो है वो थोड़ा सा बेचारा हाथ तंग है, जो कि परमानेंट रहता है बिजनेसमैन का हाथ तंग, अपने लिए मर्सिडीज खरीदने के लिए नहीं रहता, हमारी 5 लाख की फीस देने के लिए रहता है हाथ तंग। तो क्यों अनिल विखारिया साहब, तो अगर उसका हाथ तंग है तो क्रेडिट लेजर में मत ले जाना, क्रेडिट लेकर रिवर्स कर देना। 16.4 के वाइसेस से बाहर आ जाएंगे हम भविष्य में, कभी भी जब भी ऑनरेबल ओडिशा हाईकोर्ट आपको डिसाइड करेगा, या और इसके ऊपर जो भी लॉ डेवलपमेंट होगी, तो आप क्रेडिट ले सकते हैं। अदरवाइज एट प्रेजेंट पिछले क्रेडिट का कुछ नहीं हो सकता, वो आपका सहयोग है राष्ट्र निर्माण में।
सर थोड़ी देर पहले आपके या मेरे पास आ जाते तो ये क्वेश्चन ना रहता, हम खड़ा करा देते। बट अब डेप्रिसिएशन ऑन विच आईटीसी पे, जिस पे डेप्रिसिएशन लिया जा चुका है, सो दैट कैन नॉट बी टेकन बैक। द बुक्स हैव बीन फाइनलाइज्ड, द ऑडिट्स हैव बीन डन। सो अगर आपने ऑलरेडी अवेल किया है we have also done like that, Rajendra sir. हमने उसका एक लेटर भी डिपार्टमेंट फाइल कराया था manually to the jurisdictional officer and on the portal stating we are claiming this ITC subject to the pending litigation in the apex court, which subject to no interest and penalty, this ITC will not be utilized. जब भी उस client का per month मुझे 3B आती है with a note at the bottom that this much ITC is blocked ITC, क्योंकि unintentionally also it should not be used. So in that case now उसके ऊपर depreciation claim हुआ, आपकी बैलेंस शीट में एज ए करंट एसेट खड़ा है, आपकी 3B में 16/4 के टाइम पीरियड से पहले लिया जा चुका है. सो जैसे ही सुप्रीम कोर्ट का जजमेंट आता है सो फेवर में है तो यू कैन क्लेम दैट. Or if you consider your building is can be classified as a plant, and the way forward also, if the taxpayer is getting any construction done, as Rajendra sir rightly mentioned, do not make it a part of fixed assets until or unless आपने income tax के profit adjust करने हो, depreciation बढ़ानी हो, that is another thing. So it is particularly a business planning. How much portion you need to take there, how much 100% benefit you can take it forward in the form of ITC.
You know, Achal ma'am, what is most ironical in the country is that professionals, especially professionals here in India, are not being rewarded the way should have been. They should have been. Professionals are being treated as if they are charging for free.
Right.
Professionals are being actually treated that they are harassing us. I'm sorry, 1,75,00,000 टैक्स पेयर हैं. और अगर हम सिर्फ चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट्स की बात करें, बिकॉज आई रिप्रेजेंट सीएस ऑफ एंड ऑन in the profession, there are only 50,000 chartered accountants who are into practice, and clients do not like to pay the regular retainership fee of a good professional, whether it is chartered accountant or advocate, but they may pay huge exorbitant amount of litigation. That is not a problem. The pre-deposit and every other hearing
अभी तो
fees.
कहते हैं, if you consider compliance is costly, try non-compliance once.
Absolutely.
So I have
Absolutely.
written a quote in my office regarding this. If you consider that the professional fees is hefty, so try non-compliance one and you will get to know the results for the same.
16(4) में भी मैडम हमने कोई जमा नहीं कराया जो हमारे पास आया. हमने कहा इसको गले की हड्डी बनाओ, ना निगलो ना उगलो. जहां 10% प्री डिपॉजिट देके आगे बढ़ाओ. 2 साल, हम 3 साल लगे रहे इन केसेस में. हमने कहा कोई बात नहीं, अभी देखते हैं. लेट बिकॉज अगेन दिल्ली, व्हेन यू हैव अ ग्रेप वाइन, व्हेन द विस्परिंग सर्कल स्पीक्स, विस्पर समथिंग, तो इट कम्स टू. सो बट एक छोटा सा, विद द परमिशन ऑफ द मॉडरेटर, आई वुड लाइक टू टेल यू वन थिंग. यू नो, एक थोड़ा सा मैं डेविएट कर रहा हूं टॉपिक से. आई एम सेटिंग द एग्जाम्पल फॉर द इंपॉर्टेंस of a professional, which is very necessary today. I am not speaking on my own behalf. I am speaking for my people, my fellow professionals. Now, what happened in a particular case? We were appearing before the Central Tax Authority. 16(4) का matter था. We knew it that constitutional validity are being constantly upheld by various high courts. We did not have any merit in the case. Amount was huge. हमने उस शो कॉज नोटिस को चैलेंज किया मेयरली ऑन द वैलिडिटी. बखारिया साहब, मेयरली ऑन द वैलिडिटी ऑफ द शो कॉज नोटिस. हमने कहा कि इसमें DRC 01 इशूड नहीं है और ये नोटिस इनवैलिड है. सितंबर में हमने ये रिप्लाई दिया. नवंबर में डिपार्टमेंट ने, CBIC ने इंटरनल इंस्ट्रक्शन निकाला और कहा दैट we have seen that field formation is not issuing the DRC 01 and it is an explicit law, they should do it. हमने इस चिट्ठी को भी दोबारा और लगा दिया. जब एडिशनल कमिश्नर मैम ने मेरी हियरिंग की तब उन्होंने मेरे दोनों रिप्लाईज देखे और उन्होंने कहा कि आपने सितंबर में वो बात कैसे कह दी जो नवंबर में होने वाली थी. तो मेरे मुंह से ऐसे एक्सटेम्पोर निकल गया, मैडम मैं GST का ज्योतिषी हूं, मुझे पता है इसके ग्रह कहां बैठने वाले हैं, इनके ग्रहों की क्या दशा है. एंड दैट इज व्हाट अ टैक्सपेयर नीड्स. अ गुड टैक्सपेयर वुड ऑलवेज लाइक टू हैव अ एस्ट्रोलॉजर ऑफ द सब्जेक्ट, that who knows what is going to happen tomorrow. उसके ग्रहों की दिशा और दशा दोनों देखकर बता सके कि भविष्य इसका क्या होने वाला है. मुझे लगता है। और लेकिन उसके लिए वैसे तो आज देखिए इतना सुंदर वखारिया साहब इन्होंने, मैं हमेशा आपकी ये जो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है इसको बहुत बधाई देता हूँ कि पहले भी जब एक बार इन्होंने प्रोग्राम किया था तो बड़ा सुंदर तरीके से, उस समय वो मेरे ख्याल क्या चल रहा था, दिवाली का ही समय था जब मैं वहां आया था या कोई टाइम था, और आज आईटीसी का दशहरा बना दिया है। पटाखे फूट रहे हैं धड़ाधड़।
बिल्कुल सही है सर, बिल्कुल सही।
जी सर।
This takes us to the next question to Advocate Kishore Lula sir. Sir, in clause 56 of the judgment, it is mentioned that each case will have to be tested on merits as the question whether an immovable property or a building is a plant. Kindly clarify us with on the basis of your vast experience in the profession for the past 3 decades, whether the revenue can use this as a tool to disallow the claim of ITC under section 17(5)(c) and D in other cases on the basis of stating that the facts are distinguishable in this particular case.
Yes, definitely, no doubt about it. See, para 56 is about half page in the judgment, but out of that I have taken out only 3 to 4 lines. See, para 56 says that the High Court has not decided whether the mall in question will satisfy the functional test of being a plant. Secondly, it says that each mall is different. Therefore, in each case, fact-finding inquiry is contemplated. The same applies to warehouses and other buildings except hotels and cinema theaters. And the most important line is that each case will have to be tested. Now, from these all lines, I need not say that whether the officers will harass or not. It is very clear-cut, a sword and not a tool given in the hands of the revenue. Hence, it is very much risky, according to me, to claim the ITC on rented property. If one is ready to face the litigation, he can claim the ITC on rented property. And again, I want to say that after this decision, somebody said in the beginning that it has given a far-reaching effect. According to me, it has not given any far-reaching effect. क्योंकि पहले भी आईटीसी नहीं मिलता था और अब भी 100% नहीं मिलने वाला है. I am damn sure about it for the experience of the last 3 decades. Because see, now not only the Orissa High Court will give the decision, but many more other high courts will also give decisions in several types of writ petitions. And lastly, I want to contribute कि ऐसा या डिसीजन में क्या था या क्या क्लियर नहीं था कि जो उन्होंने रिमांड किया और फंक्शनैलिटी टेस्ट बताया. इट इज अ कंस्ट्रक्शन ऑफ ए मॉल. मॉल में जो भी लगता है दैट इज ऑलरेडी इन द बिल्डिंग सैंक्शन प्लान. आई एम नॉट गोइंग इनटू द डिटेल्स, लेकिन एक मॉल में जो भी लगता है वो सब टेक्निकलिटीज आर ऑलरेडी इन द बिल्डिंग सैंक्शन प्लान. फिर सुप्रीम कोर्ट को डिसीजन नहीं देने का कौन सा कारण था ये मैं आज समझ नहीं पाया. दैट्स ऑल.
वी आर ऑल विद यू. हमारा भी यही सवाल है. इसी बेसिस पे तो फंक्शनैलिटी टेस्ट के लिए हम लोग आर्ग्यू कर रहे थे कि क्यों जरूरत पड़ी कि फंक्शनैलिटी टेस्ट के लिए वापस उसको सेट असाइड करना पड़ा. बट लेट्स वेट एंड होप फॉर द बेस्ट टू कम इन द फंक्शनैलिटी टेस्ट. वी टेक दिस द नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन टू राजेंद्र अरोरा सर. पार्टली ये क्वेश्चन डिस्कस हो चुका है, पर स्पेसिफिकली सर हम जानना चाहेंगे आपसे कि ये जजमेंट सिर्फ मॉल के लिए एप्लीकेबल होगा क्या, सभी इमूवेबल प्रॉपर्टीज के लिए एप्लीकेबल होगा, लाइक थिएटर्स, रिसेप्शन एंड इवन द कमर्शियल?
डिटेल में जवाब नहीं दूंगा बिकॉज इट इज ऑलरेडी बीन डिस्कस्ड बाय ऑल ऑफ अस.
यस यस.
अब इसमें क्या है कि बस नटशल में बोलूंगा, मतलब इन अ ब्रीफ, कि सिर्फ मॉल्स पे नहीं होगा, बट हर उस बिल्डिंग पे या इमूवेबल प्रॉपर्टी पे होगा जो कि प्लांट क्वालिफाई हो सकती है. हर उस इमूवेबल प्रॉपर्टी पे होगा जो कि प्लांट क्वालिफाई हो सकती है. वो सिनेमा भी हो सकता है, वो होटल भी हो सकता है, वो वेयर हाउस भी हो सकता है, वो कोल्ड स्टोरेज भी हो सकता है। तो लेकिन समटाइम्स मे बी वो ऑफिस बिल्डिंग ना हो सके, मे बी वो फैक्ट्री बिल्डिंग ना हो सके, बट वो एक टूल टूल रूम बन हो सके, वो एक एक जनरेटर रूम हो सके, वो एक स्पेसिफिक मशीन रूम हो सके, वो एक कोल्ड स्टोरेज विद इन दी शॉप हो सके। लाइक आई स्टिल रिमेंबर वी यूज्ड टू
Installation.
हैव a very big ice cream distributor in the दिल्ली। उसने अपनी शॉप में कोल्ड स्टोरेज बनाया हुआ था और उसका कंस्ट्रक्शन कॉस्ट लगभग 40 लाख रुपए उस जमाने में था। आई एम टॉकिंग ऑफ 10 इयर्स 15 इयर्स बैक। तो वो कोल्ड स्टोरेज विद इन दैट शॉप कैन क्वालिफाई एज अ प्लांट बिकॉज इट इज एन इमूवेबल प्रॉपर्टी एंड मे पास द टेस्ट। बट again it is very right that it opens up a box from where बहुत सारे सांप केचुए बिच्छू, पेंडोरा बॉक्स तो उस वही होता है, ये निकलने वाले हैं इसमें से। और लेकिन मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि ठीक है, कुछ ना से कुछ तो भला। और मोस्ट लाइकली अगर हमने एस्टिमेशन लगाया है कि लगभग 5,000 करोड़ रुपए का इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट जो है वो क्वेश्चन में है केवल इस जजमेंट के बेसिस पे, तो it is going to have a, you know, it is going to create much noises within the power circle also, within the administrative bureaucratic circle also, and the legal circle also like us. But to me, मैंने सारी स्टैंडर्ड्स बता दिए और बाकी सारी बातें आप पिछली रेफर कीजिए बिकॉज इट इज ऑलरेडी गेटिंग रिकॉर्डेड। तो आप दिखा सकते हैं अपने व्यूअर्स को कि हम किन किन बेसिस पर लेकर फंक्शनैलिटी टेस्ट। और फिर भी मैं यूं कहूंगा, wait for the judgment of the Honorable Odisha High Court. I am repeating, I am again giving Bhavishyavani, ek astrological Bhavishyavani, that Honorable Odisha High Court will come out with some standard guidelines to, by way of delivering this judgment, that how would a functionality test be passed. So, you know, I feel so delighted reading this judgment and earlier Odisha High Court judgment also. मतलब वो 2018 का पढ़ा हुआ 19 का पढ़ा हुआ मुझे रट गया था, not because I have spoken for around 100 times, 100 odd times at different places, but actually though that was drafted so beautifully that it went into insight straight away. Similarly this judgment, मतलब इसमें मैं आपको at the cost of बस just 1 minute मैं व्यूअर्स को ये बताना चाहता हूं, भाई देखिए आपने ये प्रोग्राम किया और जिसने भी ये प्रोग्राम अटेंड किया है उसका इंटरेस्ट केवल इनपुट टैक्स क्रेडिट लेने में नहीं होगा, बल्कि उसका इंटरेस्ट एक बहुत बड़े सुप्रीम कोर्ट के जजमेंट को समझने में भी होगा। तो अगर आपका इंटरेस्ट उसको समझने में है तो सर ये 12 टूल्स फॉर इंटरप्रिटेशन ऑफ स्टैट्यूज ऑनरेबल सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने दिए हैं। 12 टूल्स, अगर आप मुझे अलाउ करें मैं 1 या 2 पढ़ रहा हूं बस। इसमें है ए टैक्सिंग स्टैच्यू has to be interpreted in the light of what is clearly expressed. The court cannot imply anything which is not expressed. The court cannot import provisions in the statute to supply any deficiency. Or interestingly, equity and taxation are strangers. Equity and taxation are strangers. But if the construction, listen to me very carefully, but if the construction matlab interpretation, but if the construction results in equity rather than injustice, अगर कोई इंटरप्रिटेशन इक्विटी प्रिवेल करती है rather than injustice, such construction should be preferred. हम हमेशा कहते हैं ना टैक्सेशन लॉज में लॉजिक मत ढूंढा करो, और डेविड रिकार्डो के कैनन्स ऑफ टैक्सेशन अगर आप लगाओ कि इक्विटी, क्लैरिटी, स्टेबिलिटी, वो सब टैक्सेशन के कैनन्स यहां पर नहीं लग सकते। हमारे अमित भाई तो रेवेन्यू ऑफिसर रहे हैं, शिवडे भाई, तो वो तो ऐसा करते भी रहे हैं, बताते भी रहे लोगों को। जी थैंक यू वेरी मच।
वो भी मुझे ढंग से नहीं आया करके यहाँ आया हूँ।
अरे सर ऐसा ना बोले अमित भाई, ऐसा नहीं है।
अरोड़ा जी मेरा एक सवाल है आपसे। अरोड़ा जी,
हाँ जी सर।
हाँ मेरा एक सवाल है आपसे।
यस सर पूछिए ना।
आप वो एसओपी की हरी हरी बात कर रहे हैं, बट हाउ दिस एसओपी ऑफ द ओडिशा हाई कोर्ट will be applicable to pan India?
क्योंकि उन्हें सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने डायरेक्शन दी है.
Okay.
Even otherwise, this is a judgment on a central statute, and therefore it is applicable even otherwise of pan India.
शेड़े भाई, अगर उस लाइन पर बात करें तो वेरियस केसेस में ऑनरेबल सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने वही जुडिशियल डिसिप्लिन के ऊपर बात कही है कि हमारे ऑफिसर्स नहीं मानते. अमित भाई, अब आप ऑफिसर नहीं हो तो आप बुरा नहीं मानोगे मेरी बात
मालूम
का.
है वो देखो, वो ऑफिसर वैसे भी मानते नहीं है.
हाँ
मैं तो हमेशा बोलता हूँ, ऑफिसर को आप सूरज दिखाओगे तो भी बोलेंगे अंधेरा दिख रहा है.
हाँ, ठीक बात है. वो मानते नहीं है, लेकिन मेरा व्यू ये है ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ द जुडिशियल डिसिप्लिन विच इज एस्टैब्लिश्ड बाय वेरियस कोर्ट्स ओनली, कि अगर कोई सेंट्रल लॉ है, उसके ऊपर किसी जुरिस्डिक्शनल हाई कोर्ट ने कोई जजमेंट दिया है, कॉन्ट्ररी कोई भी जजमेंट किसी और हाई कोर्ट ने नहीं दिया है, तो सर उसकी परसुएसिव वैल्यू होगी. उसकी और अगर कॉन्ट्ररी है, जुरिस्डिक्शनल हाई कोर्ट का कॉन्ट्ररी है, तो भाई साहब कॉन्ट्ररी शेल प्रिवेल ओवर दैट परसुएसिव वैल्यू. और ये तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने डायरेक्शन दी है. और सर, लूला सर,
हाँ.
ये जो गाइडलाइंस निकलेंगी, दैट शेल फॉर्म पार्ट ऑफ द ओरिजिनल एपेक्स कोर्ट जजमेंट सर.
Okay. Thank you.
आप टेस्ट लेते हो लूला साहब मेरा ना.
Sir,
अगला सवाल लूला सर, there is a next question for you.
Okay.
What shall be the status of the registered person constructing the mall for claim of ITC in different situations? First is if the ITC has been claimed in the returns and not utilized. Second situation, ITC has been claimed in the returns and utilized against the outward supply, other outward supply. And third situation, ITC has not been claimed in the returns and limitation period is either expired or not expired.
Okay, in one line I would like to reply. If the ITC has been claimed in the returns and not utilized, for this I will say one must claim the ITC in the return and should not utilize it till the issue is settled to the extent of his individual case. Now, according to me, it will take minimum 5 to 10 years. I don't know. Of course, subject to what is discussed about depreciation and all that about Anchal madam. And if the ITC has been claimed in the returns and utilized against the outward supply, my two-word answer is that the God only will save him. And if the ITC has not been claimed in the returns and limitation period is expired, so this situation will be like other cases. This will not be a special case in this. Time barring provisions under section 64 will apply because the department will not cover this ITC in section 73. Over, sir.
Achal ma'am, am I audible? Yes, you were earlier, you were
Yes, yes.
sharing your views relating to this question, where ITC has been claimed in the returns, not utilized. ITC has been claimed in the returns and utilized against some other outward supply, and ITC not claimed at all. तो ये सिचुएशन में आप कुछ बुक एडजस्टमेंट प्लानिंग इसके बारे में कुछ बता रहे थे, तो और उस पर अभी स्पेसिफिकली बता पाए तो अच्छा होगा.
अरे मैडम, साथ में अपना एड्रेस भेज देना, फोन नंबर दे देना, आकर मिल लेंगे डायरेक्ट. ये अबे भाई सारी बातें यहीं खुलवा लेंगे.
सर अनम्यूट की मैम अनम्यूट कीजिए आप.
सर, it's a beauty of the Pune. कि आपको मीठा बोल के आपसे बहुत सारी चीजें ले सकते हैं.
ठीक बात है प्रकाश भाई.
आंचल मैम अनम्यूट कीजिए आप.
sir,
Am I audible?
Yeah, now you are.
यस मैम.
Yeah, I'm audible now. Sir, I just want to say that first of all, depreciation and ITC are contradictory to each other. So the taxpayer must keep in mind that अगर आपने fixed assets में add कर लिया और उसके ऊपर depreciation claim कर लिया, so your ITC is going to be over forever. Secondly, now stand it in your balance sheet separately apart from the fixed assets so that it is not claimed in the form of depreciation. Add it in your GST return so that 16 subsection 4 does not come into picture later on. Two options, as Rajendra sir also mentioned, you can keep continuing with the same because sir interest नहीं लगता जब तक आप utilize नहीं करते एक particular amount को, even if it is held inadmissible by the officer concerned, by the department. So if you are availing it, not utilizing it, subject under with an intimation to the department, if owing to the pending litigation, we have claimed it, we will not utilize it until settled. Now, when the Honorable Apex Court has delivered the judgment, but again a big question mark. According to me, the officers of the professionals like us, the CAs and the advocates to chalo are covered under the reverse charge. The chartered accountants or the architect officers, those will not be able to meet the functionality test. Because those are normal buildings. May I make a 10-story building? May I make a single room office or whatever will not be able to be bear. So still you can, if you are very hopeful, you can keep it separate in your balance sheet. If you do not want to claim in your income tax return, claim the expenditure, write it off, take the benefit of 30% of that if you are under the 30% slab in income tax. Else, for the other buildings where there is a question as to the possibility of functionality test being met out, whenever your adjudication comes, whenever your matter is being taken up, let's see how the Odisha High Court comes. Say your officer not to disallow the same, because keeping in mind the ongoing litigation, and to be carried and by giving an undertaking that this will not be utilized. But agar aapne usko utilize kiya, later on the judgment comes otherwise, that it is not allowed, your building does not meet the functionality test, then the party can be subject to interest as well as penalty in the future litigation. So these are some of the pointers which the taxpayer must keep in mind, and to consider the way forward also. अगर अब आप कोई कंस्ट्रक्शन कर रहे हैं, सर मैं भी जैसे अपने ऑफिस की कंस्ट्रक्शन कर रही हूँ, make 3 charts. First, those things for which the credit is straightforward allowed. The LED lights or the other things which are outside, which are particularly the part of the machinery which you consider, not even the plant, I'm talking about the machinery, like the particular gen set or something which you consider is a movable thing, take the credit, utilize the same. Make a list of the second one, which are the little things like for which you are dicey. It may or may not be an AC installed plant, although has been held in various AAR decisions that the credit of same is not allowed because it is the part of the building. But still, I considered that a future course can be different on this in the time to come. Take the credit, do not utilize it. Coming towards the third category, the cement, etc., for which the functionality test we consider will not be met at any cost, make it the part of the cost and you can claim depreciation on the same. So every business, every type of expenditure, every type of building that is going to be constructed, and the nature of the output service the taxpayer is rendering. So 4 elements we need to consider. What is the nature of the building, whether it will be meeting out the functionality test, nature of expenditure the person is incurring, whether it qualifies to be the machinery or a plant. Third, whether you need any you want to claim that as a depreciation or ITC, all these points need to be kept in mind while taking the decision for the same. And one thing more, I have a food for thought. We say works contract service is under 17.5C. My question is not 17.5C and D are overlapping? Is not works contract service is a service, meaning thereby that is not, if I am getting a building which meets out the functionality test, is made on by taking the services of a works contract, will not be qualifying under 17.5D, services taken on your own account that will forming part of 17.5D. So since inception, I always feel 17.5C and D has an overlapping effect also, because somebody asked me a question, अगर मैं सिर्फ गुड्स और सर्विसेज अलग अलग प्रोक्योर करता हूं और अपनी एक ऐसी बिल्डिंग बनाता हूँ जो फंक्शनैलिटी टेस्ट मीट करती है और वो प्लांट बन जाती है, तो उसका ITC अलाउड हो जाएगा। अगर मैं वर्क्स कॉन्ट्रैक्ट सर्विस ले लेता हूं और एक ऐसी बिल्डिंग बनाता हूं जो फंक्शनैलिटी टेस्ट मीट आउट कर सकती है, तो क्या वो वर्क्स कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में जाएगी? द आंसर इज नो. व्हाई नॉट? Works contract service is also a service covered under 17(5)(d) also. So this is my entire take on the same. The question goes to the another panelist for their comments.
Thank you. Thank you. Coming back to Prakash.
Right, sir.
Prakash, in the background of this decision, can a customer who purchases certain area in a mall or a landowner who has been allotted constructed area in the mall by way of JDA claim the ITC on the acquisition of this area against outward supply receipts on rental or leasing supply of such area?
Yes, thank you again. This is a bit practical question which one has to see with the current provision and reading with the decision of the Supreme Court. What will be the situation if the Honorable High Court or again may Supreme Court, the decision may come into the favor of the assessee. Now, the coming to the particular thing, I have to see that once the building is complete and after that completion, when you sold the property, the ITC and the supply question doesn't arise. So I will not go into that because once the building is get the completion and after completion, if it is any transaction happened, so I don't think that there will be question of GST arise. As we have the section 42, rule 42 is also reversal of the ITC in an appropriate way that we all know. Now the question arises during the construction, if somebody has booked the property or the landowner in the case of barter has get the property, for the subsequent supply, if he supplies the, in the case of landowner, is he supply the same property during the construction process, ITC is available, that law is clear. Now coming to this particular provision related, read with the current decision. I have gone through one very interesting decision made by the Honorable Gujarat High Court recently in the month of April in case of Technology International versus Commissioner of Income Tax, where they have discussed the term plant. This decision in relation with the Income Tax Act, but they have discussed the term plant categorically because that Joshi Technologies has claimed the depreciation. The case is like that they have well that oil extraction has been there, so they construct a well, so they claim the depreciation at certain particular rate under the Income Tax Act, and the commissioner or what the income tax authorities say, this is nothing but a plant and machinery, plant and building, so the depreciation will be different. So in that case, it's very interesting discussion, what would say the Honorable High Court mentioned. यहाँ पे उन्होंने एक चीज बोली है, and that is very important in this particular case when we look into that, and when Apex Court or the Honorable Odisha High Court will go into the detail of the word plant, then this has to be seen in a different view. The Honorable Gujarat High Court say that the tool of his trade, with which the assessee carries on his business become a part and parcel of the plant. Now, if you have a property as a rent, for the rent, you buy a property for a renting purpose. Say there is a huge industry. They buy so many these properties for the particularly for the renting of that properties and they have invested a lot. There is a specific business model for this. Now coming to the particular question of say mentioned plant, if the plant has been decided or directed or explained as already राजेंद्र जी explained that उन्होंने बोला है कि ये ऐसा जजमेंट होगा ओडिशा हाईकोर्ट का कि वहां पे एक मॉडल सेट होगा कि व्हाट इज द प्लांट और कैसे आपको इंटरप्रेट करना है एंड देन इन दिस केस इफ we go with the Gujarat High Court judgment where they have mentioned, explained the plant and allowed that well as a plant. So the piece and parcel of the plant, अभी ये जो चीज होगी piece and parcel of the plant which used for the business and for the business, this is a tool of the trade. So when you have a specific purpose of renting of the property, and you have a supply of renting income and you charge a GST, then this is your particular business income. And when you have a particular business income, then this is a particular tool which you have get that property because of which you get the rent. And this plant has given a correct view as far as I have seen that as far as the judgment is concerned, where the plant mentioned as this tool become a trade which used for the business income, then this is a piece and parcel of the plant. And then Honorable High Court allowed that depreciation. So in such things, tool which become plant, and if they are part of parcel of the plant, then this question of claiming ITC on that particular input credit during the construction process, one can claim, but see, at present this particular section has not allowed. Now what one has to see, as already discussed, that in my view, to live your claim, you can claim the ITC and reverse the same. That will be help you when that particular decision comes in the favor of the assessee. You can reclaim that particular income input tax credit. But presently, if you see from the business angle or the business costing perspective, this in particular income, particular ITC will not affect any part, but you can claim and reverse the same. When you claim and reverse the same, this 16(4) will not bar you to reclaim the input tax credit, and that will be the most crux.
My specific question here was,
Yes,
the entire context of the decision is on the basis of the plan and the functionality test to be applied. In case if I am a purchaser of the unit who is purchasing a commercial unit during the course of the construction, then it is not a plan to me. It is a purchase of immovable property in the course of development of the project. And the developer is charging me the tax on the commercial property which I am purchasing. So whether the tax which is charged to me on the purchase of the immovable property in the mall, say a specific unit, whether that would be eligible to the for ITC or not, that is the question.
yes. See, as far as the particular this concern, the supplier is charging tax on the services mentioned as construction of services 9954. So he is charging GST on services, not on immovable property. That property become immovable after the completion certificate, and then it will be the question arise. Now, when you go with the construction during the course of the completion, before the completion, now if you have not claimed that particular input credit, and now the question again, sub question we discuss, whether this particular mall unit is planned or not. So presently, as far as the accounting principles are concerned, and that has to be now revisited by the accounting standard, that the plant mentioned, because when you go with the finalization of the books of accounts, this particular unit you will treat it as a building. Once you treat it as a building, then the question doesn't arise whether it is planned or not. But still, whatever the thing mentioned in the books of account does not say that the characteristic of that particular uh, commodity, we can call it, as a plant. When we revisit the Honorable Gujarat High Court judgment in the case of Joshi Infra, where they have discussed that plan, and उनका कहना यही है कि आपका बेसिक ऑयल वेल जो था उसमें से आप एक्सट्रैक्ट कर रहे हो, और वो ऑयल वेल एक्सट्रैक्ट कर रहे हो इज अ टूल. So it's a tool for the business income. So when it's a tool for the business income, then why we cannot say that this particular unit is a tool for my business income of renting income? Now there is a discussion has to be done in the Honorable High Court. But this is my view. On the basis of this Gujarat High Court judgment, if the Honorable Odisha High Court has gone with the detail plant or whatever the आपको बहुत सारा उसमें clarity आ जाएगा. If they say that on the line of the Gujarat High Court कि आपका business का जो base है वो आपका अगर immovable property है तो आपको उस पे मिलना चाहिए. If वो बहुत सारी चीजें होगी वहां पे, तो in my case, in a safer say कि at present ITC is not available. But you can make like that already Achal ma'am and Rajendra sir has discussed, that you claim and reverse the things, that you can reclaim that credit once the order of the Honorable High Court or may Supreme Court come with the favor of the SSC कि हाँ आपको मिलने वाला है. अभी वो क्राइटेरिया क्या होगा और चीजें बहुत सारी होगी उसमें. बट एट प्रेजेंट मेरे लिए सिनारियो कुछ चेंज नहीं हुआ है, बट उसका परसेप्शन आपने चेंज करना है कि आपने जो आपका इनपुट क्रेडिट का क्लेम है वो उसको लाइव रखना है. अभी वो लाइव कैसे रखना है ये ऑलरेडी वी हैव डिस्कस इन दैट पर्टिकुलर थिंग. सो ये मेरा व्यू है इसमें.
सर बट सोचिए कितनी बड़ी एक दुविधा भी है कि आज एक टैक्स पेयर सोचता है कि मैं एक बिल्डिंग बना रहा हूं और मुझे क्रेडिट अलाउड होना चाहिए, मेरी बिल्डिंग तो रेंटिंग पर्पस के लिए फंक्शनैलिटी टेस्ट मीट आउट करती है. आज वो क्रेडिट ले लेता है, 5 साल बाद केस लगता है एंड ऑफिसर सेज अकॉर्डिंग टू मी इट शुड नॉट बी अलाउड. So it is going to be a huge amount for the taxpayer. जो ITC लिया वो भी गया, interest उतने amount का पड़ जाएगा and can also be subject to penalty. So as Kishore Lula sir rightly mentioned, sir, मतलब even I could feel that कि how the things are settled, rather those have exaggerated a lot through the judgment.
मेरा सवाल बिल्कुल अलग है, आप फिर से समझ लीजिए. मुझे ये पूछना है, विद द एग्जांपल मैं बताता हूँ आपको. इट इज अ 4 story मॉल इन विच इन्वेस्टर इज परचेसिंग वन स्टोरी. एक मंजिल किसी इन्वेस्टर ने परचेस किया ड्यूरिंग द कोर्स ऑफ कंस्ट्रक्शन, राइट. सो द डेवलपर हैज टू चार्ज टैक्स टू द इन्वेस्टर हु इज इन्वेस्टिंग फॉर लीजिंग दैट फ्लोर. So the customer is purchasing one floor in a mall to be leased out to the end consumer. So यहाँ ITC का इशू है, ये कंस्ट्रक्शन ऑफ मॉल के लिए फॉर द पर्पस ऑफ अ डेवलपर हु इज डेवलपिंग द मॉल. So in case a customer who is investing for one floor in the mall and he is also consequently leasing the premises of one floor out of the mall and the remaining 3 floor जिसने मॉल कंस्ट्रक्ट किया वो लीज आउट कर रहा है, तो ये सफारी रिट्रीट्स को दोनों के एंगल से कैसे हम लोग ट्रीट करें? दैट इज द क्वेश्चन.
क्या सर, मराठी भाई
Question
पैसा
is to
लगाकर क्रेडिट भी लेने का चक्कर में है?
Sir, may I?
हाँ सर प्लीज
I don't
मैम
know.
व्हाई नॉट। ना ना मैम, ना ना
Sir,
मैम, मैं तो वैसे ही मैम, आई वाज जस्ट लिसनिंग।
no. I don't know to whom he posed the question
ना नहीं,
actually.
किसी
So,
को भी नहीं बोला, आप बोलिए ना मैम, प्लीज बोलिए।
sir, that's to the extent I could understand the question. First, the consumer who has bought it. सर उसके ऊपर तो वैसे ही 5% या 1% चार्ज लगा होगा, मोस्ट लाइकली 5% अंडर द रियल एस्टेट कैटेगरी।
नहीं,
तो वो तो
कमर्शियल
वैसे ही
प्रॉपर्टी पे
क्रेडिट,
तो 18 लगा होगा ना मैम।
12%
कमर्शियल
तो
कमर्शियल अगर
कमर्शियल
रहेगा
प्रॉपर्टी के ऊपर 18% लगा होगा, बट अगर वो
सब्जेक्ट टू
नॉर्मल
आरआरईपी।
प्रॉपर्टी है, रेजिडेंशियल प्रॉपर्टी है, तो उस केस में 5% और 1% लगेगा। तो द क्वेश्चन ऑफ
नहीं अबे भाई,
ये
कमर
कमर्शियल
मॉल
प्रॉपर्टी
की बात
सब्जेक्ट
कर
टू
रहे हैं ना।
आरआरईपी होगा।
मॉल होगा, सो 12% ऑफ दैट वुड हैव बीन चार्ज बिकॉज 1/3 एग्जेम्पशन के बाद द क्वेश्चन कम। सर द पर्सन हु इज परचेजिंग इट फॉर द पर्पस ऑफ further leasing out, according to this judgment, again it depends whether that building is meeting out the functionality test or not. So if the building is meeting out the functionality test and renting is particularly covered for the functionality test, the question again remains open. Meeting out, yes, the credit will be allowed. Not meeting out, the credit will not be allowed. Right now coming, yeah, please. Sir, you were
चलो
saying
ठीक है
something.
मैम।
Conclusion
ठीक।
that irrespective of the whether the mall is constructed or it is bought out from any person, from the initial
देखिए
developer,
अगर
the
सफारी
functionality
सफारी
test जो अप्लाई करके उसको अगर प्लान ट्रीट करेगा, तो मेरा एक फ्लोर जो मैं परचेस कर रहा हूँ मॉल में, that can also be considered for the purpose of applying whether the functionality test would stand good for it or
अबे
not.
भाई, आपके सवाल का जवाब ये है कि अगर सफारी रिट्रीट को इसका क्रेडिट मिल गया तो आपके वाले हाइपोथिकेशन को भी क्रेडिट मिल जाएगा।
Yes, ठीक है।
सब्जेक्ट टू
Yeah,
16(4
again we
सर।
go to, sorry.
सब्जेक्ट टू
16(4 क्योंकि 5 साल के बाद अगर क्रेडिट मिल गया तो क्लेम कैसे
हाँ
करेंगे?
16/4 तो लगेगा सर, वो दानव तो खड़ा
क्योंकि
है
16(4 को
हाथ
उन्होंने
पसारे।
कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन वैलिडिटी से निकाल दिया
Other
है।
things being constant मिल जाएगा ये सब।
हाँ
Other provisions of the law apply
मिल
करके
जाएगा सर, मिल जाएगा।
सर और
मिठाई
मेरे अकॉर्डिंग अभी सर ये हर फ्लोर के लिए डिफरेंट चलेगा। इट इज हो सकता है जब वो फ्लोर कंस्ट्रक्ट हो रहा है, आई हैव पेड द एडवांस फॉर द सेम, तभी उसके ऊपर लगा है। मैंने उसमें कुछ ऐसे स्पेसिफिक टेक्निकल चेंजेस कराए हैं जो पर्टिकुलरली मेरे बिजनेस के लिए यूजफुल है। सो तभी लगेगा ना। अगर वो 4 फ्लोर्स कंस्ट्रक्ट कर रहा है और मेरा फ्लोर पे मैं कुछ यूनिक करा रही हूँ विच इज सुटेबल फॉर माई बिजनेस, माई लेटिंग आउट टू द टाइप्स ऑफ कस्टमर्स आई एम गोइंग टू डू एंड इट मीट्स द फंक्शनैलिटी टेस्ट।
ठीक बात है, ठीक बात है, ठीक बात है।
So the next question also which we had drafted has been covered in the discussion that during the period of construction it is quite uncertain initially whether the immovable property shall be retained for rental or leasing supply or sold during the course or on completion of the project. So what is the course to be taken during the construction period to secure the ITC claim? This has already been discussed at length. So we'll drop this. We come to the last question, which is applicable to Prakash, and of course, all of you have to share your view on it. In
प्रकाश
short,
भाई के सामने कोई नहीं बोल सकता सर।
सर मैं दिल्ली आऊंगा आपको चाय पिलाने के लिए।
what will be the impact of this judgment on the real estate industry as a whole?
ओके सी एज फार एज द जजमेंट इज कंसर्न, मुझे ये लग रहा है क्योंकि ये बहुत दुख वाली बात ये सब बिल्डर के लिए है, या दोज हु आर इन दिस इंडस्ट्री, दे हैव हेवीली इन्वेस्टेड इन दिस रियल एस्टेट सेक्टर के बहुत सारे वो रियल एस्टेट एरिया लेते हैं और रेंट पे दे देते हैं। नोएडा में है, बेंगलोर में है, बहुत सारी जगह पे। चीज ऐसी होती है कि उनको, जैसे अभी राजन सर ने बोला कि 5,000 या ज्यादा भी हो गए, 5,000 करोड़ से ज्यादा भी आईटीसी इन्वॉल्व है। नाउ इट बिकम अ कॉस्ट टू देम एंड नाउ डिप्रिसिएशन इज देयर। तो 5,000 करोड़ तो गवर्नमेंट के पूरे प्रॉफिट में है। मेरे ख्याल से इसको थोड़ा एक रैशनल व्यू में देखना चाहिए। आई एम जस्ट टेकिंग अ बिट मोर टाइम, प्लीज अलाउ मी। ये जीएसटी आने के बाद क्या हो गया है, द प्रोविजन विच वाज इन द वैट एक्ट exactly copy pasted with certain and or, ये 17(5) C और D कॉपी पेस्ट ही है जो वैट एक्ट में था, और जो मुझे इनिशियल डिस्कशन और जो मुझे इन लोगों का से बात किया हुआ पता चला है कि अरे यार वो आपका तो सेटल है केस, आप वही हम फॉलो करेंगे. नाउ द थिंग इज the origin of the 17C and D is from the act which is related to the goods only. And now this act is just adding the services implemented on the services as well. अभी जीएसटी आने के बाद थोड़ा परसेप्शन में थोड़ी सी चीजें उन्होंने और देखनी चाहिए कि आप गुड्स की प्रोविजन सर्विसेज पे लाद रहे हो और सर्विसेज की प्रोविजन गुड्स पे छोड़ रहे हो, और जो पहले लॉ में सेटल है उसको गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज मर्ज होने के बाद भी आप इंप्लीमेंट वही कर रहे हो. आई विल टेक वन एग्जांपल. द महाराष्ट्र, the transitional credit has held only in the Maharashtra related the terms mention input, और जो इनपुट है, इनपुट में आपके जो इमूवेबल प्रॉपर्टी बिकम इमूवेबल प्रॉपर्टी, कंस्ट्रक्शन इंडस्ट्री में क्या हो रहा है कि WIP is a different measuring tool as far as the accounting standard is concerned. वहां पे क्लोजिंग स्टॉक नहीं रहता है. अभी क्लोजिंग स्टॉक में they said कि when you have only the goods available in your depot are eligible for input tax credit, because the word input is cover only related to the goods, and goods means related to goods only. अभी ये चीज क्या हो रही है यहाँ पे, ये थोड़ा परसेप्शन का अलग अंदाज है कि आप जो चीज को आउटवर्ड सप्लाई में टैक्स कर रहे हो वो चीज के लिए द यूज और द कंजम्पशन ऑफ दैट पर्टिकुलर आउटवर्ड सप्लाई का जो कंजम्पशन है उसका आईटीसी आप डिनाई कर रहे हो ऑन द वर्ड ऑफ दैट इज बीइंग इनपुट नॉट गुड्स. अभी ये चीजें थोड़ी सी पैनोरामिक व्यू से देखनी चाहिए कि हम अभी गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज पे बोल रहे हैं. ये गुड्स का पर्टिकुलर जो व्यू है वो सर्विसेज में आप इंपोर्ट नहीं कर सकते. सिमिलरली ये जो चीज है आज की तारीख में प्लांट एंड मशीनरी, जो प्लांट है अभी व्हेन यू यूज द गुड्स फॉर सर्टन प्लांट which become a tool for his business of a renting of new property or renting of new income which earn the money for the particular recipient, and उसके ऊपर गवर्नमेंट को टैक्स भी मिल रहा है, but the use of that particular input credit is not available. तो ये चीजें थोड़ी सी ड्राफ्टिंग कमेटी में भी डिस्कस हुई थी, बट उसको उन्होंने इम्पोज कर लिया जैसे के तैसे, बिकॉज इट इज अ सेटल लॉ इन दी वैट इरा. अभी इसको क्या है वैसे ही सेटल करो. मेरे ख्याल से ये चीज जैसे अरोड़ा जी ने बोला कि व्हेन द थिंग्स विल बी डिस्कस इन दी ऑनरेबल बिफोर आवर कोर्ट.
Let me interrupt for a minute. Achal ma'am is seeking permission to leave. She has some other scheduled meeting to attend. So,
Sir,
I would ask Jnaneshwar, the convener, to extend the vote of thanks to Achal ma'am before she leaves.
अबे भाई वखारिया साहब has to speak for 1 minute.
Vakharia, I'll take him after we express our vote of thanks to Achal ma'am because she's
Okay.
supposed to leave. Anil bhai will take you after this vote. Achal madam, vote of thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Achal ma'am, for sharing your insightful knowledge on the latest judgment. We will get back to you again on the next session. Thank you very much for being here for this session. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. And it was such an enlightening one session for me too. I learned from the eminent panelists a lot. Thank you, Prakash sir, Rajendra sir, Kishore sir in absentia, and thank you, Abhiji, for the well-drafted question and for a heated up discussion like Dussehra. Thank you so much for making me part of it. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your views. Prakash, you can continue.
एक क्वेश्चन आया अभी भाई, इंटरेस्टिंग क्वेश्चन है.
Okay, to conclude, conclude my view.
ओके.
One has to revisit with the apex court. अभी क्या कैसे डिस्कशन होगा, क्या होगा, apex court में क्या कम आउट होगा. बट रियल एस्टेट के लिए वो बहुत जरूरी है. जो ये आज का जो डिस्कशन है, या ये रहेगा, सॉरी, सुप्रीम कोर्ट का डिसीजन है सफारी के बारे में, ये एक बहुत ही मेरे ख्याल से encouraging है that you cannot abruptly deny everything. Supreme Court has taken, I think, a very positive role that आप इसको रिविजिट करो, प्लान शब्द को, और थोड़ा और एक्सप्लेन करो, क्योंकि अभी गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज मर्ज होने के बाद इसका मायना बदलने वाला है. So let's hope that it will be a great discussion in the court of law, and we will come out with some good what we can call judgment. So from this point of view, I am thankful to the organization. देखिए राजेंद्र जी, मैं बोला था कि आई एम अ बैक बेंचर प्राउड. मेरा क्वेश्चन भी लास्ट है, अभी ओपन फोरम हो जाएगा. तो सब बैक बेंच, सब इमिनेंट पार्टिसिपेंट है, वो बात करेंगे. सो थैंक यू वेरी मच अगेन फॉर द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. अभय, इट्स वेरी एक्सलेंट क्वेश्चंस.
थैंक यू प्रकाश.
थैंक यू फॉर अकोमोडेटिंग मी. थैंक यू.
हमारे बिग बॉस जो है अनिल भाई वखारिया, वो बार बार बोल रहे मुझे मौका दो, मौका दो. अभी उनको कौन सा चौका मारना है अभी सुनते हैं अनिल भाई को.
सर थैंक यू. एक्चुअली आंचल मैम तो निकल गए, लेकिन राजेंद्र सर है. सर आप जीएसटी की भविष्यवाणी जानते हैं, तो मेरे 2 सवाल है. उसमें से पहला सवाल ये है कि ये जजमेंट के बाद गवर्नमेंट सेक्शन 17(5)(c) और डी में अमेंडमेंट लाएगा या नहीं लाएगा, और अगर लाएगा तो रिट्रोस्पेक्टिव लाएगा क्या? ये पहला सवाल है. उसके बाद मैं दूसरा सवाल पूछूं.
नहीं लाएगा सर, नहीं लाएगा, आप
नहीं
निश्चिंत
लाएगा
रहें, नहीं लाएगा.
क्योंकि
सर देखिए सर, आई एम सॉरी, मैं बीच में बोल रहा हूँ.
नहीं,
सर अभी आपका 16/4 का 80,000 करोड़ रुपए का टैक्स माफ हुआ.
करेक्ट.
लगभग 25,000 करोड़ रुपए का टैक्स, इंटरेस्ट और पेनल्टी 128A में माफ हुआ.
राइट.
अब इस सरकार की ये बिल्कुल मंशा नहीं है कि ये वो वोडाफोन वाला ट्रैक इस्टेब्लिश करे, री इस्टेब्लिश करे, कि ऑनरेबल सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने कह दिया कि भाई इस पर क्रेडिट नहीं लगेगा, ये टैक्स नहीं लगेगा, ये तो बाहर है. वो उन्होंने प्रणब दा ने रेट्रोस्पेक्टिवली कानून बदल दिया पार्लियामेंट में. तो मुझे बिल्कुल उम्मीद नहीं है कि ऐसा होगा.
ओके सर, मेरा दूसरा सवाल ये है, फंक्शनैलिटी टेस्ट पर वगैरह बहुत सारी बातें हुई, मैंने आप सब लोगों को सुना. इसमें किशोर जी का कहना जैसे था कि आईटीसी मिलेगा ही नहीं. हम पुरानी बातें छोड़ देंगे, बैलेंस शीट में जिसने कैपिटलाइज कर दिया वो सब बातें छोड़ देते. लेकिन करंट में कंस्ट्रक्शन अगर कर रहे तो मेनली बात ये हुई कि ओन अकाउंट पे अगर बिल्डिंग बांध रहे, अभी ओन अकाउंट में मैं इसको फिर से बाइफरकेट करता हूं, पर्सनल यूज यानी रेसिडेंशियल और कमर्शियल यूज. तो अगर कमर्शियल यूज है तो हम अब तक जो बात कर रहे थे कि सिर्फ रेंटिंग आउट हुई, और उसमें भी कोर्ट के डिसीजन में भी आया कि एक्सेप्ट सिनेमा हॉल एंड होटल्स. अभी सिनेमा हॉल की अगर हम बात करते हैं तो सिनेमा हॉल में बैठ के हम एक्चुअली पर्दे के ऊपर पिक्चर देखते. अभी मैडम ने बात किया कि मैं बाकी सारी चीजें पर आईटीसी क्लेम कर रही हूं, भले मैं रिवर्स करके रखूंगी, लेकिन सीमेंट और स्टील पे नहीं करूंगी. मेरा कहना है, अगर प्रकाश जी ने जो बात किया जोशी इंफ्रा के जजमेंट की गुजरात हाईकोर्ट की, अगर मैं बिजनेस के लिए यूज कर रहा हूं तो डायरेक्टली मेरा इनकम जो है वो बिजनेस में से आता है. जैसे मैं मेरे ऑफिस में आज बैठा हूं, तो मॉल में अगर एक फ्लोर खरीद रहा हूं, कमर्शियल बिल्डिंग है और उसका सेट ऑफ मिलना चाहिए, तो मुझे भी मेरे ऑफिस का मैं खरीद रहा हूं तो मिलना चाहिए, ऐसा मुझे लगता है. सिर्फ रेंटिंग आउट पे नहीं, बिजनेस के लिए जो भी बिल्डिंग यूज होती है, फंक्शनैलिटी टेस्ट में इतना ब्रॉड व्यू आना चाहिए, ऐसा मेरी राय है. क्या आएगा मुझे पता नहीं, शायद आपको भी। ओडिशा हाईकोर्ट क्या डिसाइड करेगा, वी डोंट नो, लेकिन बिजनेस के लिए यूज हो रहा है तो सब जगह वो मिलना चाहिए, ये मेरी राय है। इस पर आपका व्यू क्या है, ये मुझे जानना है सर।
देखिए भिखारी साहब कि पहली बात तो आई एम रिपीटिंग एट द कॉस्ट ऑफ रिपीटिशन, टिल नाउ this is settled that if a building passes the functionality test, becomes plant,
यस,
and comes out as an exception from 17(5)(d). One, on my own account, Achal ma'am has also given this beautiful interpretation that C is part of D only.
राइट,
So
बिल्कुल।
even if I have hired somebody outsider, works contractor, that is also part of goods or services procured to construct a particular immovable property on my own account. So that is works contract under section 2119 becomes works contract, and that is part of D only.
Right.
Now, till the time Honorable Odisha High Court said that this is plant for Safari. Okay. Assume, Vakharia Sahab, assume that Odisha High Court decides that it is plant. And for Safari, credit is allowed. Now the entire judgment of 91 page this and earlier around 100 pages revolves around that the
Exactly.
building is an essential
Plant.
to provide the outward supply. In case of you and my services, I am sitting in one of the poshest building in the city. I may be sitting at one of the jhuggis also, providing, connecting to the internet and giving you this delivery. How would it actually be essential to provide my outward supplies as a chartered? And interestingly, Honorable Supreme Court reinstated one thing which I used to say about works contract way back in DVAT, Delhi VAT, when I used to. You're also VAT master, sir, Bakari साहब. So works contract. इन्होंने बहुत सुंदर बोला. मैं हमेशा ये कहता था बखारिया साहब, मैं ऑडिटर हूं, मेरे पास आप आए, आपने कहा राजेंद्र मेरी कंपनी का ऑडिट कर दे और मेरे को ऑडिट रिपोर्ट इशू कर दे. ध्यान से सबको सुनने वाली बात है, मेरे को ऑडिट रिपोर्ट इशू कर दे. मैंने कहा साहब 1 लाख रुपया. बखारी साहब कहते ओके एग्रीड एक्सेप्टेड गो अहेड. मैंने ऑडिट किया, सारा प्रोसेस लगाया और एक प्रॉपर 20 पेज का रिपोर्ट दे दिया बखारिया साहब को और 1 लाख रुपए ले लिया. तो मुझे ये बताइए, व्हाट इज द प्रिडोमिनेंट थिंग विच आई सप्लाइड टू बखारिया साहब, वेदर इट इज गुड्स और सर्विसेज? आप कहोगे अरे यार कैसी बातें करता है रोड़ा, इट इज सर्विस ओनली, ऑडिट सर्विसेज. But how could it be supplied without that report, which is in physical format signed by me? That
Correct.
forms part of goods also. And the same
Yes.
thing, Honorable Apex Court said in this judgment. So, my dear friends, बखरी साहब, ये जो मामला है ना सर, देखिए आपने, मुझे पता है आपने क्यों ये स्ट्रिंग टच किया है, ठीक है साहब. तो ये और मेरे से स्पेशली क्यों पूछा आपने, मुझे
Rajendra sir, answer this side. Sorry for jumping in. I could hear my name and the question. So if I am permitted to answer.
Yes, madam.
ma'am,
I
please,
want to
please,
hear it
ma'am.
from you, madam. I
Right.
want to hear it
Anil,
from you, madam.
sir, I do consider, sir, देखो मेरे को मेरे ऑफिस का आप क्रेडिट दिलवाओगे तो who else can be happier than me? I will
Yes,
be the
दिलवाई
most
चाहिए.
happy person.
इनको अमृतसर
Sir,
बुला के
I-
प्रामा
sir,
के ढाबे पे
देखिए.
खाना भी खिलाएंगे.
बिल्कुल sir, most welcome. Sir, the issue is कि in 17(5)(d) they have particularly mentioned the point whether in the course or furtherance of business. You are
Correct.
absolutely right, but they have
Yes.
particularly mentioned कि आपकी बिल्डिंग जो आप बना रहे हो, वो फैक्ट्री है, वो ऑफिस है, वो चाहे आपके कोर्स और फर्दरेंस ऑफ बिजनेस के लिए है, बट अगर वो आपके ऑन अकाउंट पर है तो हम आपको उसका क्रेडिट नहीं देंगे.
That is what I was.
Considering the current ruling, they have particularly mentioned कि आपकी बिल्डिंग को फंक्शनैलिटी टेस्ट मीट आउट करना पड़ेगा. Now reading both of these together, I consider might be a normal chartered accountant office will not be able to meet out that functionality test. Hence, you can take this point of keep taking the cement and other ITC into the fixed asset and claim depreciation on the same. But it's one stake. If we consider no, my building will be able to meet the functionality test, yes, you can stand it in your balance sheet also.
हाँ, ये वाइल्ड थिंकिंग है मैडम, क्योंकि मैं रास्ते पे बैठ के तो किसी को सलाह नहीं दे सकता ना, मुझे भी बिल्डिंग की
बिल्कुल
जरूरत
सर,
है।
इवन थिंक ऑफ द फैक्ट्री में फैक्ट्री से जब तक कोई कि एक मेरे क्लाइंट 8,000 स्क्वायर यार्ड का आज फैक्ट्री लगाता है, ही आस्क्ड मी मैडम मैं क्या ये मशीनरी अपने पॉकेट में थोड़ी रखूंगा या रोड पे थोड़ी लगा दूंगा, बट द कोर्ट हैज नॉट कंसिडर्ड दिस व्यू पॉइंट. Same is in 17(5)(d). They have not considered this viewpoint and said even if it is in the course or furtherance of business, ITC will be disallowed.
Yes, ma'am.
थैंक यू, थैंक यू।
I also
लेकिन कोठारिया
support
साहब,
what madam is
आपको
saying.
पता है एक हमारे
कोठारिया
पार्टी
सर,
के MP हैं,
आपको नहीं
वो
मिलेगी.
रास्ते पे बैठकर जन दरबार लगाते हैं हर हफ्ते चांदनी
हाँ।
चौक में.
So thank you everyone.
Thank you.
It was a fantastic panel discussion. किशोर लुल्ला सर.
सर अबे भाई, सॉरी टू इंटरवीन, एक
Yeah.
सवाल है लिफ्ट का.
हाँ,
किसी ने पूछा है.
किसी ने पूछा था.
वो लिफ्ट क्या, लिफ्ट बहुत बहुत ही डिस्प्यूटेबल रहा है इवन एक्साइज रिजीम में भी.
Yes.
लेकिन इंटरेस्टिंग बात यह है, टू माय हम्बल व्यू, दिस इज माय पर्सनल व्यू ओनली, दैट इफ plant immovable property becomes passes the functionality, becomes plant, so lift is part of immovable property, becomes passes the functionality, becomes plant, credit would be available for lift also.
Yes, sir.
उस पर तो जजमेंट्स भी आ गए सर।
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Rajendra ji. Prakash ji, Kishore sir, Achal ma'am, thank you all for sharing your views. It was indeed, I would say a very much knowledge gaining session for all the participants and the true perspective and the intent of MTPA for having a panel discussion on this Safari retreat judgment. I would say has come to a conclusive proper end, and all the participants might have got clarification in relation to the issues raised by them. With this, I hand over the further proceedings to Jnaneshwar Nadavade, the convener of the study circle meeting, who take the concluding things.
Thank you, Bora sir. Thank you everyone, every panelist who participated in the in our today's panel discussion on the latest Supreme Court judgment on Safari Retreats Pvt Limited. Now moving further, I request our past president, Advocate Narendra Sonani sir, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Jnaneshwar. Namaskar. This is the perfect word for today's webinar. We team MTPA is नतमस्तक है आप सबके सामने। ITC का दशहरा। राजेंद्र जी आप लास्ट ईयर आए थे GST का दीपावली मनाने। This time you came as a ITC का दशहरा। रावण दहन होगा या ना होगा, ITC का होगा या किसी का कुछ पता नहीं, लेकिन आज का जो डिस्कशन हुआ है वेबिनार में, ये हम सबके लिए एक बहुत ही बड़ा ज्ञान का भंडार था। और हमने आज ही दीपावली सेलिब्रेट की, ऐसा मुझे लगता है। आप सभी कर रहे हैं, आप राजेंद्र अरोड़ा सर जी, आचल मैडम, किशोर लुल्ला जी, प्रकाश जी, एंड वी एक्चुअली आज सुभाष पांडे जी भी थे हमारे पैनल में। वो आज उनकी तबीयत की वजह से नहीं ज्वाइन हुए। आज सुबह 10 बजे तक वो ट्राई कर रहे थे, लेकिन फिलहाल उनका फीवर उनको अलाउ नहीं किया और वो लास्ट वीक उन्होंने विड्रॉ किया। लेकिन वो भी इस घटनाक्रम में थे शामिल। एक्चुअली जब हमने वेबिनार डिक्लेयर किया तो बहुत कम समय हम आप सभी पैनलिस्ट को दिया था, और एक्चुअली एवरीबॉडी वाज सो बिजी इन ऑडिट एंड ऑल अदर थिंग्स। बट मुझे कहने में बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है कि राजेंद्र जी आपका पूरे 9 मिनट में रिप्लाई आया था कि यस आई एम रेडी। बाद में आंचल कपूर मैम तो आज हिसार में ट्रैवलिंग करने वाली थी, लेकिन हमने उनको जबरदस्ती किया कि आपको आना ही है, तो उन्होंने वो टूर कैंसिल किए थे और वो भी आज आए थे। व्हाट कैन से अबाउट किशोर लुल्ला जी? ही लॉस्ट हिज ब्रदर लास्ट वीक and today actually he came here, joined us, answer all our queries. This is very surprising, and this is what we are saying. All our panelists are gurus. They, especially again, Prakash Patwardhan ji, his family was in one of his family member is in hospital. Yesterday he was in hospital for taking care, but still today he came here. When they study, when they complete their questions, I don't understand, but still today they came and given such a fantastic answers to all our questions. Suhas Pandey is even सफरिंग फॉर फीवर, चिकन दुनिया का पुणे में बहुत सारा प्रॉब्लम है, और वो फिर भी उन्होंने पूरी कोशिश की थी कि आज के सेमिनार में आए और आंसर करे। तो आई रियली थैंक्स आप सबको, नतमस्तक होकर हम नमस्ते करते हैं कि आपने सभी ने यहाँ पर आकर एक इतना अच्छा बढ़िया वेबिनार, दिस इज वन ऑफ द बेस्ट वेबिनार अटेंडेड फॉर द ईयर। कल ही हमने हमारे एक भारत के सुपुत्र रतन जी को हमने खोया है, लेकिन मैं समझता हूँ कि जीएसटी में भी हमारे बहुत सारे रतन हैं जो आगे जाके जीएसटी और हमारे लिए एक अच्छा मिसाल सब कायम कर रहे हैं। थैंक यू वेरी मच फॉर अटेंडिंग दिस वेबिनार एज ए पैनलिस्ट। आई स्पेशल थैंक्स टू अभय जी बोरा, हु इज ए मॉडरेटर एंड द मेन आर्किटेक्ट ऑफ दिस वेबिनार। उन्होंने पूरी मेहनत करके सब क्वेश्चंस निकाले थे, पूरा स्टडी किया था, और हमको कंटिन्यूसली प्रेशर कर रहे थे कि ये होना चाहिए, वो होना चाहिए, और उन्होंने बहुत सारी मेहनत की जो आज रंग लाई है। थैंक यू अभय जी, स्पेशल थैंक टू यू एंड दी अटेंडीज जो यहाँ पर आज थे, सब जीएसटी के गुरु थे। 110 112 लोग थे, लेकिन बहुत बड़े बड़े नाम इसमें शामिल थे। हमारे पास प्रेसिडेंट वखारी जी थे, दीक्षित जी थे, बेदरकर जी थे जो यहाँ थे, और सीनियर मेंबर्स राजू जोशी, देन ग्रेट अमित शेवड़े जी, ये सब थे। मिस्टर राजेश इज फ्रॉम केरला, वो भी थे। ईशान वारसी जो हमारे दोस्त थे अहमदाबाद से, वो यहाँ पर थे। तिवारी जी थे। बहुत सारे लोग थे जो ऑल इंडिया से यहाँ ज्वाइन हुए थे, और एक अच्छा सा वेबिनार हमने आज सुना, स्टडी की, और बहुत सारे अभी सभी हमारे मैनेजिंग कमेटी के मेंबर्स भी यहाँ पर ऑफलाइन यहाँ पर आए थे हमारे एसोसिएशन में। तो थैंक यू वेरी मच फॉर दिस वंडरफुल वेबिनार। मैं फिर एक बार टीम एमटीपी की ओर से आप सबको धन्यवाद देता हूँ कि आपने इतना बढ़िया वेबिनार आज किया है, और हमें बहुत सारा दिवाली के पहले बहुत सारा आर्म्स एंड एम्युनिशन दिया है कि जो हम दिवाली में सबका यूज कर सके। राजेंद्र जी थैंक यू, प्रकाश जी, वखारी जी, सब यहाँ पर आए। एक्चुअली मैम, अंचल मैम और किशोर लुल्ला जी वो लेफ्ट हुए यहाँ से वेबिनार से, लेकिन उनको भी मैं स्पेशली थैंक्स करना चाहता हूँ। थैंक यू वेरी मच।
सर एक बात कहनी थी।
यस सर, यस।
आप हमेशा कुछ ना कुछ ट्रॉफी या कुछ भेजते हो प्रोग्राम के बाद,
यस सर।
तो इस बार क्रीम रोल साथ में भेज देना।
पक्का सर, पक्का। पूना से हम क्रीम रोल और वड़ा पाव अगर वहां पर पहुंचता है तो वड़ा पाव भी पक्का भेज देंगे।
थैंक यू सर।
We are expecting you here in Pune. We will arrange actually full day seminar. We are trying. We are planning.
Narendra,
बुलाएंगे
He's-
webinar.
Narendra, he is fond of that Malpani cream roll.
Malpani one.
Malpani
Malpani.
rolls.
Sir,
100%.
my daughter is very. She also loves a lot that.
100% आप ही भेज देंगे, उसमें कोई प्रॉब्लम।
पिछली
क्रीम भी मिलेगा और रोल भी
दीक्षित
मिलेगा।
पिछली बार दीक्षित भाई वहाँ मुझे उत्तराखंड मसूरी लेकर आए थे मेरे लिए।
यस यस, हम भेज देंगे सर आपको। आप बताते जाइए आपको क्या क्या चाहिए पूना से।
अरे नहीं सर, बस बस बस, थैंक यू सर,
थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू वेरी मच।
थैंक यू सर।
Over to Dhaneshwar.
Thank you, sir. With the permission of the president, I declare the today's session is over here. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you everyone.
You